Chapter 091. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Hold up, Lord Naruto. Yes, Lord Naruto, think this through. Don't go looking for a fight and stirring up trouble. Back when the third Hokage was in charge, we Konoha folks lived in peace. Even during the Second Ninja World War, we were Konoha's backbone and buddies with the other 4 big ninja villages. Why are you, the 4th Hokage, itching to start a continental war the moment you take office? Kid was puzzled. With all the power Konoha had, what was there to be afraid of? It turned out the higher-ups in Konoha were mostly doves, pushing for peace. Even Chimu Shuamao, usually so humble, chimed in, Lord Naruto, we can't afford to fight. The 4 major ninja villages will be all over us. Feng rolled his eyes. White Fang, you really need to work on your social skills. I'm trying to help you here. Ahem, let's drop the peaceful talk. Over the years, we've had countless skirmishes with other villages. We've lost plenty of Konoha shinobi. Just 3 years back, Kato, a jonin, was ambushed and killed. Sure, they call it 10 years of peace, but there hasn't been any real peace at all. Not long ago, the Cloud Village tried to kidnap Uzumaki Kushina, our 9-tailed Jinchuriki candidate. If that ain't war, I don't know what is. Are we, the mighty Konoha, the first shinobi village, just going to sit here and take it? Are we going to let them push us around without fighting back? One of the loudest objectors immediately piped up, Lord Naruto, that's not what I meant. We're not warmongering, but there's no need to send our shinobi, especially our chunin, to die. Let's be honest, in every war, big or small, the most who suffer are those lower and middle-ranked shinobi. Look at all the orphans we have in Konoha Village, all kids who lost their parents to war. We can't let that happen again. Yeah, Lord Naruto, we can't do this. If we strike first, the other 4 ninja villages will dogpile us, and we'll be stuck in a never-ending war. That's from hard experience. Feng looked at the assembled officials with a smirk. So, you're telling me how to do my job? Of course not, Lord Naruto. But we have to be extra careful about war. Even if you're set on it, you need to think it through and cover all our bases. Feng cut him off. Time waits for no one. Trying to be 100% sure is a coward's game. There's no such thing as foolproof. Watergate. Feng Shuimen snapped to attention. Yes, sir. The 18 from the Umbu are here, right? Yes. Feng looked around the room. Alright, everyone, you're staying here for the day. Lord Naruto, what do you mean by that? Panic flickered across their faces. Just this, today's meeting is critical. Before the day is out, we're taking down Sand Village. So, sit tight and wait for the good news. The room erupted in shock. Take down Sand Village in a single day? Impossible. Our sleeper agent, who's been embedded in Sand Village for 3 years, has drawn up detailed maps of their layout for Konoha. We know the place inside and out. Breaking into Sand Village will be a piece of cake. You're all too cautious. People who are scared of their own shadow don't belong in positions of power. Feng turned to Feng Shuimen. Watergate, have the Umbu surround this place and make sure no one leaves. We can't risk a leak. All of you, stay put tonight. I'll send someone to let the heads of the major families know that you're in a day-long meeting, so don't worry. And remember, don't betray Konoha and spill the beans. Otherwise, you'll face my wrath. A wave of killing intent rolled off Feng, a cold sweat broke out on everyone's foreheads. Lord Naruto, how could you say that? We'd never do such a thing. Yes, Lord Naruto, we're just concerned your plan might not be fully fleshed out. Lord Naruto, you really need to think this through. Feng waved his hand dismissively. Alright, I've thought it through plenty. We've got a 30-year deep cover agent and a complete map of Sand Village. Isn't that enough? I've made up my mind. There's no point arguing. Chimu Shuamao, Bufeng Shuemen, you too, with me. Chimu Shuamao and Bufeng Shuemen looked stunned. Lord Naruto, just us. Yifeng smirked. That's all we need. Yifeng's confidence stirred something within Chimu Shuamao, and he half knelt, declaring, at your command, Lord Hokage. Bufeng Shuemen followed suit, at your command, Lord Hokage. Let's move out. With that, Yifeng turned and strode out, Chimu Shuamao and Bufeng Shuemen hot on his heels, leaving the Konoha officials in stunned silence. Lord Naruto. He just left. What do we do now? Ugh, I knew putting such a young punk in charge would be a disaster. It's too late to stop him now. He's going to ruin us all. Many Konoha higher-ups weren't optimistic about Yi Maple, of course, some were, like Fugaku Uchiha. Humph, you old geezers, clinging to life and terrified of death, you've been left behind by the times. When Lord Hokage returns, you'll have nothing to say. The hemp rope family countered, you Uchiha are always itching for a fight. Do you even know what strategy is? What about building alliances? Waiting for Yifeng to come back. Just you wait, Konoha will be paying reparations, suffering losses, and I'll be the first to call for his impeachment. Uchiha Fugaku sneered. Fine, when Naruto-sama returns victorious, I'll repeat your words to him, every single one. The hemp rope patriarch scoffed, since when did the Uchiha become Naruto-sama's lapdogs? You. The hemp rope family smirked, hoping to provoke Uchiha Fugaku into a rash move that would shatter the uneasy peace maintained by the Umbu, but before they could, Umbu operatives appeared instantly between the hemp rope family head and Uchiha Fugaku. Hemp rope family head, please don't cause trouble. The hemp rope family head bristled, what trouble did I cause? You. Before he could finish, the Umbu ninjas had him under control. Please maintain order. Everything will be discussed when Naruto-sama returns, everyone. Seeing the Umbu's swift action, several officials voiced their displeasure. Lord Hokage's just taken office, and you're already ignoring our advice. That's right. Konoha is not Hokage's personal kingdom. We will definitely impeach the fourth Hokage for this. A voice sounded from the back of the room. Alright, enough arguing. Everyone turned to see 8 Flying Sunday. 3 generations of adults. Naruto-sama, look at what the fourth is doing. He's going to destroy Konoha. Enough. 8 Flying Sun scolded the man who'd spoken. Night Kid became Hokage because he saved Konoha and rebuilt our village. Have you forgotten that so soon? Trust him. He said a day, give him a day of trust. 8 Flying Sun was at a loss, finding out about this matter temporarily. He could only try to smooth things over, but what else could he do when Yifeng had already left with Bufeng Shui Gate and Chimu Shuamao? And who knew what those 3 might accomplish together? They might actually take Sand Village on the border between the Land of Fire and the Land of Wind. 3 black shadows swept past the Sand Village ninja camp. The Sand Village garrison yawned, then his eyes widened. He rubbed them, wondering if he was seeing things. 3 shadows just flew by. At that moment, Night Maple, Bufeng Shuemen, and Chimu Shuamao were leaping through the woods. It seems Sand Village's border defenses aren't exactly airtight, Yikid observed. As he jumped from tree to tree, Chimu Shuamao, leaping beside him, added, yes, although the Second Ninja World War ended, we're constantly dealing with skirmishes and conflicts. The Third Ninja World War is probably right around the corner. Sand Village's main force isn't stationed at the border, but in the village itself. After all, there's that huge desert to cross between the border and the village, making resupply difficult. Bufeng Shuemen frowned. Can't the major ninja villages just live in peace? Feng chuckled. Peace is fleeting. The only real peace is unification. Otherwise, you have your ninja way, and I have mine. Who gets to call the shots? Bufeng Shuemen shook his head, unconvinced by Yi Feng's warlike views, but Chimu Shuamao, who'd seen more than his fair share of war, was intrigued. Could that really be possible, that even the first Hokage, with all his power, couldn't achieve it? Could this young man, barely 20, really pull it off? Feng smiled. I don't know, but if you don't try, how will you ever find out? About an hour after Feng, Kiki Shuamao, and Wei Feng Shui Gate crossed the border between the land of fire and the land of wind, a ninja scurried from the land of fire to the sand village ninja Shadow King on the border. My lord! Rumor has it that the fourth Hokage, Night Maple, has infiltrated the land of wind with Konoha's White Fang, Banner Mushue Shigeru, and the new head of Konoha's Umbu, Wei Feng Shuimen. What? Shinobu Murakami, who'd been dozing, shot to his feet and stared at the undercover ninja. What in the world is going on? Sir, I heard the fourth Hokage Feng is planning a surprise attack on Sand Village. Murakami was dumbfounded. That's impossible. Wait, when did this happen? Sir, an hour ago, Feng was still in Konoha Village. An hour. Crap. Shinobu Murakami's eyes widened as he recalled those three black shadows he'd seen an hour before. His heart went cold. Why are you only telling me now? My lord, I'm sorry, the news in Konoha Village is very tightly controlled. Our informant wasn't able to get the word out sooner. Shinobu Murakami took a deep breath. Okay, I understand. Go back. The Sand Village ninja vanished, speeding back toward Sand Village. This is bad. Feng is going to attack Sand Village. I hope those weren't the three black shadows. Meanwhile, Yifeng, Chimu Shuamao, and Bufeng Shuimen, braving the wind and sand, had crossed the vast desert and were nearing the outer edge of Sand Village. At Yifeng's current strength, the desert held no terrors for him. After an hour of rushing, the three had arrived outside Sand Village. It was a blitzkrieg. So fast, Sand Village hadn't even realized they were coming. Suddenly, the guards of Sand Village spotted Feng and his companions and surrounded them, nearly 50 people. And there were over 10,000 more ninjas inside Sand Village. In Yifeng's mind, the system chimed in, Option 1, sneak into Sand Village, assassinate the fourth wind shadow, and plunge Sand Village into turmoil. Reward, S-Class Character Card, 3 Wind Shadow. Option 2, kill, over 1,000 people, fight violence with violence, strike fear into the enemy's heart. Reward, S-Class Character Card, 1,000 Hands. Option 3, force your way into Sand Village, convince people through strength, and make Sand Village submit. Reward, 10x the fusion speed of the power of the 6 paths. The god-level choices were back. Feng instantly saw that he could complete options 2 and 3 simultaneously. Killing 1,000 people. How hard could that be? There were 50 right in front of him. Just knock off 20 batches. Who are you? The leader was a jonin, and his face was grave. Chimu Shuamao and Bufeng Shuimen tensed up as the guards closed in. Yifeng smiled slightly and announced, "We are the Shinigami from Konoha." As soon as the words left his mouth, countless roots and vines erupted and lashed out, dust and sand swirled, obscuring the scene from the distant Sand Village ninjas. Then, silence. The corpses of more than 50 Sand Village ninjas lay buried beneath the yellow sand. Among them were several jonin and chunin. Bufeng Shuimen gulped, thinking back to the scene. Could he really kill that many people so quickly? Absolutely not. Chimu Shuamao asked gravely, "Hokage-sama, should we proceed from the front?" Yifeng strode forward, leaving a single sentence in his wake. Of course. We're going straight through the front, killing them until they're terrified, killing them until they surrender. Chapter 092. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In Shain Village, the fourth Kazekage, Raza, was half lying, half leaning, drinking with the village elders. Fine wine was Shain's weakness, a vulnerability Konoha had exploited for 30 years. Tonight was a celebration. Shain, shattered by the third Kazekage's disappearance, was finally unified under Raza. Congratulations, Kazekage-sama. They cheered. Raza smiled. No need for congratulations. This victory belongs to everyone. He paused. What's the situation in Konoha? I hear their new fourth Hokage, Yokai, is quite young. Yes, Kazekage-sama. Konoha's been quiet lately, no troop movements. They're still recovering from Madara Uchiha's attack. Raza nodded. Understood. We need to move quickly. Tomorrow. He changed the subject. When does Yakura arrive? Tomorrow, Kazekage-sama. Raza grinned. Good. When she gets here, we'll launch a surprise attack on Konoha. Yokai may be strong, but we have reinforcements. The third Raikage will be there too, since his son's being held hostage in Konoha. This time, the Sand Village will force Konoha to compromise, giving us access to the Land of Fire and its fertile lands. Kazekage-sama is wise. Lord Kazekage is mighty, that they raised their glasses in unison. Meanwhile, thousands of Konoha ninja were already en route, dispatched by Sarutobi Hiruzen. Sarutobi felt Yokai, Shisui, and Minato going to Shine alone was arrogant. He thought a lesson in humility was in order. These reinforcements would ensure Yokai's survival, should he fail. The Hokage of Konoha couldn't die in another village, it would be too humiliating. Sarutobi didn't realize Cloud and Stone were also eyeing Konoha. The third Raikage was preparing to cross the border, planning a sneak attack. And Sarutobi was sending 1,000 of Konoha's best troops to the sand. On Cheyenne's outskirts, the guards felt uneasy. It seemed like there were fewer of them. With tens of thousands of ninja, Cheyenne always maintained a patrol force of 500. Something was clearly wrong. Something's up. Where'd everyone go? No idea. New orders, maybe. Doubt it. Even with a new mission, not this sudden. Enemy attack, but before he could finish, roots and vines erupted from the ground, dragging the 5-man team into the sand. Yokai marveled at his wood style. Wood style in the desert? Only Hashirama Senju could pull that off. Much like Hashirama's water style, no water was no obstacle for the Shodai. With that, Yokai, Shisui and Minato entered Cheyenne. Shisui and Minato were stunned. Is that allowed? Minato watched Yokai's back, realizing the difference between them. Yokai dared to imagine and attempt things he wouldn't, hence he was Hokage. Along the way, Shisui and Minato saw Cheyenne ninja toasting and drinking, completely ignoring them. That's taking the enemy lightly, isn't it? That even Yokai was surprised. More than 10,000 ninja were drinking and partying, oblivious to their presence. Yokai sensed Raza's location, the large mud house in the center. It held the largest concentration of chakra, along with that of a Jinchuriki. Cheyenne's tailed beast had to be Shikaku. Gaara hadn't been born yet. The Jinchuriki was a monk, if memory served. Looks like Cheyenne's got plenty of confidence. He was immediately discovered. Hey, you three. Shisui and Minato glanced at Yokai. My lord. Yokai nodded. Let's take them down. The speaker dropped dead. Shisui and Minato attacked. Enemy attack. We're under attack. Enemy attack. The screams echoed through Cheyenne, throwing the entire village into chaos. A terrifying energy surged. Wood style, deep forest emergence. Cheyenne exploded, the desert transformed into a tropical forest, roots and vines erupting, doubling Yokai's chakra consumption. But Hashirama was legendary for his chakra reserves. Even doubled, with his added Een seal, Yokai barely noticed. The mud houses crumbled, the drinking ninja were ensnared by roots and vines. Elite Jonin who managed to escape were hunted down by Konoha's White Fang and Yellow Flash, their blood splattering everywhere. While Shisui hated killing, he held no back when the battle truly began. The resolve he had formed for the root was still with him, wanting to be the greatest ninja. Flying Thunder God Technique. Shadow Shuriken Technique. Konoha-style swordsmanship. Blood flowed. Shisui and Minato picked off the fleeing Jonin, killing them instantly. The captured Chunin and Genin trembled in fear. Where did these demons come from? Kazekage-sama, save us. Suddenly, a roar. Who are you? Raza finally appeared, flanked by Chiyo, Ebizo, and the one-tailed Jinchuriki, Fuel. Raza's eyes blazed with rage as Ninja died before him. Nearby Umbu stuttered. Kazekage-sama, that's Yokaide, the fourth Hokage. Fourth Hokage? Yokaide? Raza exploded. You're the fourth Hokage. Why are you killing my people? Yokaide glanced at him. I'm the fourth Hokage, and I'm here to make Shine submit to Konoha. He released the captured ninja. 1,000 kills were more than enough. Konoha wants war. Aren't you afraid of overextending yourselves and leaving Konoha vulnerable? Shisui and Minato landed beside him. Yokaide brushed off his statement. Enough talk. Surrender or die. Those are your choices. Raza's face twitched. He had seen Yokaide's with style and knew his power. But, as the new Kazekage, he couldn't surrender. Shine would tear him apart. Everyone, attack. Take him down, Yokaide sneered. If that's how you want it, die. Wood style, wood dragon jutsu, Raza's face paled. Earth style, earth release barrier, a massive rock wall appeared, meant to stop the wood dragon, but it was as flimsy as paper. The dragon pierced it and bit down on Raza. It was too fast, no one saw it coming. The fourth Kazekage was defeated. Even Raza was surprised to lose before the fight even began. Arg! Raza cried out, clamped in the dragon's jaws and dragged before Yokaide. He was completely restrained, his chakra drained, utterly helpless. Only now did Raza understand Yokaide's power. The unassuming Hokage was unstoppable. Damn you! Lord Raza! Kazekage-sama! The Suna ninja watched in horror. Their Kazekage, suspended like a dog. Elite Jonin charged, but were swiftly cut down by Shisui and Minato. The fourth Kazekage is captured. Can't fight anymore. Still want to die? Yokaide's voice boomed across the battlefield. The Suna ninja were in despair. The fourth Kazekage. Shine was shaken, morale collapsed, and chaos reigned. Yokaide, I'll avenge this, or die trying. Raza screamed in rage, coughing up blood before passing out. Chiyo and Ebizo watched the Kazekage, their hearts filled with grief and anger. That's for generations of wind shadows. One of the strongest in Shine Village. The result was directly seconds by Feng. Can't hold out for 1 second. Everyone was shocked. Chiyo took a deep breath and said, release Fu. Fu was stunned. Chiyo-sama, but the Kazekage. Chiyo grit his teeth. The Kazekage sacrifices himself for Shine. Go on. We, the sand-hidden village, will never be able to submit to Konoha. Ebizo said, Shikaku is the only one that can stop him. But Shikaku's power is too dangerous. Unleashing him could destroy the village itself. Phew. There's no time. We need to stop him. Release Shikaku. Phew hesitated, then sighed. One-tail Shikaku, appear. Yokaide chuckled. He had detected the tailed beast's chakra. The one-tailed Jinchuriki, Phew said, fourth Hokage, leave Shine. I'll kill you, even if it costs me my life. With that, the monk Phew swelled, transforming into a giant tanuki. One-tail Shikaku. Yokaide's first thought, I need souvenirs for Konoha. Gotta bring back a meeting gift, right? How about sealing Shikaku as a summoning animal? Uzumaki Ashina, the Uzumaki clan head, knows all the sealing techniques, Chapter 093. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Feng grinned, looking up at the massive, mountain-like tanuki towering before him. What a fatty. Ichigo Moritsuru, now fully emerged, was taken aback by Yokaide's remark. Konoha ninja. What do you mean by that? How dare you mock the great Shikaku? Great? It's just a tailed beast. Chimu Shuamao and Bufeng Shuemen were visibly nervous, overwhelmed by Ichigo Moritsuru's oppressive presence. Lord Naruto. They glanced back, assessing their escape route. If Ikid fell to the one tail, they needed a fallback, but Shine Village was completely surrounded. Yi Feng, however, remained calm. Shuamao, Watergate, relax. It's alright. I'm here. Despite knowing Yi Feng's immense power, Chimu Shuamao and Bufeng Shuemen still worried, surrounded as they were. What if his chakra ran out? Yi Feng's composure infuriated Ichigo. Humph. I smell that repulsive aura on you. Konoha ninja, you reek of that jerk. I'm gonna kill you. Ichigo Moritsuru vividly remembered the wood-style chakra radiating from Ikid. It was a Konoha jerk who'd captured all 9-tailed beasts, treating them like commodities and distributing them among the ninja villages. Although Ichigo Moritsuru had since lived comfortably in Shine Village, and enjoyed a decent relationship with his Jinchuriki, he never forgave that jerk. Now, with Yefeng standing before him, Ichigo Moritsuru's hatred boiled over. Tailed beast bomb, Ichigo Moritsuru roared, a terrifying black chakra ball forming in his mouth. In an instant, the tailed beast bomb erupted. The destructive force warped the air. Its power could obliterate the entire Shine Village. But Yi Feng acted swiftly, employing wood release, wood barrier technique, rumble, star, with a deafening blast. A wooden shield resembling a grotesque Feng-filled grimace sprang up, intercepting Ichigo's tailed beast bomb. Ichigo Moritsuru's eyes widened at the sight of the shield. That chakra signature, it was just like that jerk. The same damn would release ninjutsu. Fine, then. I won't hold back. Would release, wood golem technique. Facing the diminutive Ichigo Shizuru, the wood golem technique would easily resolve this. A colossal wooden golem rose from the earth, hundreds of wooden hands sprouting from its back. Caught in the fray, Luo Sha's eyes widened, as did Chiyo's and Kaizo's. Chiyo and Kaizo, veterans of the Warring States period, recognized the golem all too well. Hashirama Senju. Oh, God! Chiyo and Kaizo had heard that Night Maple inherited Hashirama Senju's bloodline. His terrifying battle record was what propelled Night Maple to become the 4th Hokage. The fact that Hiruzen Sarutobi was already past his prime also helped. Just like Chiyo and Kaizo, he was merely an elder who pushed Luosha to the position of Wind Shadow. Chiyo and Kaizo had imagined Yefeng was strong, but maybe not much stronger than them. But the moment they saw the giant wooden figure, their expressions changed. They recalled the terror that engulfed the 4 great ninja villages. If not for the battle at the Valley of the End, Senju Hashirama would have been gravely injured. The entire ninja world would likely have been unified by that terrifying man. Now, Night Maple possessed the same overwhelming presence. Ichigo Shizuru was dumbstruck. The golem was familiar. Back then, Hashirama Senju didn't even lift a finger. This golem had captured him. Ugh! The 4th Kazekage, Luosa, stared at the colossal golem, equally stunned. 100 meters tall, that's like a whole apartment building. Compared to the giant golem, Ichigo Moritsuru looked like a child. Crawl obediently. One of the golem's enormous hands shot out, blotting out the sky and shaking the earth. The terrifying aura sent a shiver down Ichigo's spine, every hair on its body standing on end. Chiyo and Kaizo, as well as the 4th Kazekage Rasha, were paralyzed with fear, their hearts pounding in their chests. Tailed beast bomb. Ichigo Moritsuru roared, condensing a terrifying black chakra ball in his mouth once more. In an instant, the tailed beast bomb exploded forth. The destructive blast warped the very air, but the golem's hands clamped down like a 5-fingered mountain. The tailed beast bomb detonated within the golem's massive hand, obliterating it. However, the golem's other hand immediately followed. No! Ichigo Shizuru shrieked in terror as the hand descended, threatening to crush its eyes. Rumble, star. A thunderous boom. It was like an earthquake. The smoke and dust quickly dispersed, revealing Ichigo, silenced and trembling, pinned by the giant hand. It was like being crushed under 5-Finger Mountain, a total and utter defeat. To the people of Shine Village, the One Tail was their nuclear deterrent, an equalizing force against other ninja villages, who also had 1 or 2 tailed beasts. Now, this deterrent had been swatted down by a young man. It wasn't a weapon, it was reduced to a toy. Let me go, you brat! Yefeng looked at Ichigo Shizuru with interest. Hey, this mutt's IQ seems a little higher than 2 tails. Shouldn't more tails mean smarter, right? Ichigo Shizuru exploded. You think more tails means better, my Shikaku-sama is the smartest. What's your name? Yifeng punched Ichigo Shotsuru down into the deep pit. Ichigo Morizuru was silent, that punch scrambled Shoha's brains. Cat got your tongue. I asked you a question, didn't I? Bang, 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 Yikid held down Crane's head and smashed it 3 times in a row, finally burying it in the ground, provoked beyond endurance. Ichigo Morizuru didn't dare pull his head out, he mumbled from the pit, I was wrong, big brother. I'm a tanuki, not a dog. Cat or dog, you're gonna obey me. Everyone present was stunned. Yefeng's power exceeded all expectations, he'd subdued a tailed beast like Shikaku in just a few moves. Chimu Shuamao and Bufeng Shuemen exchanged glances, completely won over by Yefeng's power. They'd been considering escape routes, but now realized how naive they'd been. At this moment, the people of Shine Village were stunned by Yifeng's strength. How is this possible? He could subdue Ikkyo. How terrifying. Elder Chiyo, Elder Kaizang, what now? A ninja on the side said worriedly. Chiyo and Kaizo sighed. They knew very well that if the boy in front of them really couldn't fight him off, even if Ichigo Shizuru couldn't fight him off, then it would be in vain for them to make a move. The huge wooden man, I heard that it is not really a big move. Their Shine Village was no longer able to match. Yifeng ignored the others and directly used the Quan into the hanging hand, and the word ZA appeared in the palm of his hand and injected it into chakra, creating a wooden cuboid to bind a tailed crane. Nope. Ichigo Shizuru's eyes widened, and suddenly he lost his voice and fell into a deep sleep. Everyone in Shine Village widened their eyes in horror. Chiyo still walked out trembling. For generations of Hokage, what the hell do you want to do? Yorikai looked up at Chiyo and said, as I said, your sand-hidden village submits to our Konoha Village. Chiyo shook his head and said, for generations of Hokage, this is impossible. Even if our sand-hidden village wants to agree, the country of wind will not agree. This is not a matter for our 2 villages, but a matter for 2 great powers. Yefeng smiled and ignored Chiyo, but used the sealing technique to cut most of the Ichigo Morizuru and directly seal it into a psychic beast. This is a forbidden technique belonging to the Uzumaki family, which was lost after the name of the Uzumaki Ashi, the tailed beast psychic beast. Nope. Ichigo Shizuru screamed miserably, and was directly sealed by Yifeng. The remaining small part, crane chakra, returned to the body of the old monk. Chiyo shivered and said, for generations of Hokage, what the hell are you going to do? It's nothing, it's just that I sealed a tailed crane. Don't worry, this old monk, I still keep a little tailed beast chakra for him, I can't die. Saying that, Yefeng looked at the group of ninjas in Sand-Hidden Village and said, now, let's talk about it. Do you want to die, or surrender? Everyone in Shine Village had lost their desire to fight at this time. Don't look at the tens of thousands of people in Shine Village, but they know very well that they are like leeks in front of Yifeng, and they can cut them if they want. No one wants to be the one who goes to die first. The timid among them were even ready to flee the village of Shine, and Chiyo and Karatsu, as well as those high-level elders, have also lost the strength to resist. They were shocked by Yifeng's terrifying strength of easily sealing a crane. Chiyo shivered and said, Lord 4 Hokage, even if we are willing to submit, it is impossible for the country of wind to make us submit. Yefeng said lightly, you mean the daimyo of the land of wind? Yes, this will start a war between the 2 great powers, and if you do this, it will anger our daimyo. Anger the daimyo? Take me to meet the daimyo of your wind country. You, what do you want to do? Yefeng smiled, what for? Let your daimyo submit to our Konoha village. This can't be. Doing so will only anger the daimyo. Chiyo, Kyozo, and the other elders of the Shine village drank loudly, but they were swept away by Yifeng's eyes, and immediately became silent again. Give you 2 a choice, take me to the daimyo, or die here. Yefeng said lightly, we will never. An elder opened his mouth angrily, and before he could say anything, countless roots and vines drilled out under his feet, swish. Instantly strangled. Everyone's hearts were about to pop out all of a sudden. The boy in front of him was like a demon. Feng looked at everyone with a smile and said, "I don't have much patience." Feng Shuimen was watching from the side, the corners of his mouth twitched. How did Feng suddenly become so fierce? It was completely different from before. In fact, Feng is slowly adapting to his strength and identity. According to the strength of Feng now, he is already the number one in the ninja world. You don't need to think too much about what other people say. If you don't obey, then kill. Especially for people in other shinobi villages, treat friends like spring. Treat enemies as cruelly and ruthlessly as a harsh winter. This is what Feng thinks now. If the village submits to itself, then it can barely be considered a friend. Others wanted to speak, but were stopped by a look from Chio. Don't say it, you take you there. Elder Chio. Feng smiled slightly, and followed Shangnan, who led the way, and Bufeng Shuimen and Chimu Shuamao followed closely behind. Steady as a banner in a wooden sushi, he couldn't help but sigh. Let's go to see the daimyo like this. Feng smiled and said, "What is a daimyo? It's just a name." Chimu Shuamao and Bufeng Shuimen heard Feng's words. They were silent, carefully pondering Feng's words, and suddenly they were very impressed. At this time, the two of them admired Feng even more. At a young age, he knows much more than himself. Before, Chimu Shuamao thought about enduring all this himself, but he didn't expect that Feng would take him to fight Shine Village. After Feng and the others left, several elders couldn't help but sigh in frustration. It's over. The fourth generation of Hokage is so powerful, now there is no one in our ninja world to control it. The only possibility is that our 4 great ninja villages have joined forces. Chio shook his head and said, "Join forces? Have you forgotten how Senjikuma founded Konoha Village? He is as powerful as the 1,000-hand pillar, just a wooden man's art. He solved the Ichigo Shoha, and immortal law Mu-dun has not yet used it." As soon as Chio's words came out, a despair arose in everyone's hearts. Hai Laozong shook his head helplessly, looked at Feng's distant direction with gloomy eyes and said, "With his current strength, I am afraid that the siege of the 4 major ninja villages will not necessarily lose. We must plan for the long term and find a suitable opportunity. Even if he is invincible alone, not all the people around him are invincible, and there are always weaknesses." Back then, for the sake of Konoha Village, it was acceptable that the 5 great ninja villages could live in peace. Then now, this Night Maple also has his weaknesses, and the weaknesses are not on him, but on the bodies of his loved ones around him. At this time, Feng had already taken the Flag Wood Shuamao and the Wave Wind Water Gate to find the city where the daimyo of the Country of Wind was located, the City of the Wind. Feng looked at the towering city wall. People came and went. There were merchants, samurai, and commoners, thriving. Shinobu Murakami took Yokaide and walked to the city gate, and was immediately blocked by the samurai at the gate. "Ninja of Sand Hidden Village, what's going on?" Even if it was Shangshin who led the way, the tone of the samurai at the door was still very unpolite. After all, in the eyes of the samurai of the City of the Wind, they are the orthodox army, and the ninjas of the Sand Hidden Village are just killers raised by the daimyo, and in terms of status, they are higher samurai. Murakami Shinobu said in a deep voice, "This is the 4th generation of Hokage of Konoha Village in the Land of Fire, and he wants to see the daimyo of the Land of Wind." The 4th generation of Hokage from Konoha Village in the Land of Fire? The samurai looked at Feng so young, and immediately said with disdain, "Where are the documents?" The 4th generation of Hokage. He was temporary, so he came and did not have paperwork. What can I see without paperwork? Did you Shinobi Village burn out your brains? Is our daimyo a casual cat or dog to see? As soon as the words fell, Chimu Shuamao behind Feng directly struck, and Ku Wu was on the neck of the samurai. "Get on your knees and apologize to our Hokage-sama." The samurai looked at the kunai against his neck in horror, and did not dare to move. Immediately, hundreds of samurai rushed up, and at the same time, thousands of samurai suddenly appeared on the city wall, raising their bows and arrows and facing Feng. Passing merchants and civilians immediately scattered in fear. Even Shinobu Murakami, who led the way, turned pale with fright and said tremblingly, Fourth generation Hokage-sama, don't mess around. At this time, the samurai leader came up with a proud look and said, you put down your weapons and tie your hands, otherwise, there is no amnesty for killing. Chimu Shuamao ignored the others at this time, and he looked back at Yi Feng. Yi Feng said lightly, in that case, kill. As soon as the words fell, Chimu Shuamao's bitterness directly pierced the neck of the samurai. The samurai covered his neck, stared at Kiki Showa Shigeru with a look of horror and disbelief, and fell directly, and the thousands of samurai on the field all widened their eyes and looked at the three of Yefeng in disbelief. Very good. Give it to me. The samurai leader snorted coldly, rushed up first, took a long sword, and rushed up. However, a bitterness passed by him, and suddenly, the figure of Bufeng Shuemen appeared behind him. A spiral pill directly smashed the samurai leader to the ground, burst. With just one move, the samurai leader was taken down by the wave Feng Shui gate. Everyone's eyes widened. This samurai leader, but one of the top experts in the Wind City, can also condense chakra, was actually solved by this golden retriever boy's move. Give me. At this time, on the city wall, thousands of samurai simultaneously pulled their bows and arrows. Nope. Murakami Shinobu was so frightened that his legs went limp. At this moment, Yi Feng changed into immortal mode in a second, and pressed his hands on the ground. Immortal law Mu Dun True thousands of hands. Yi Feng is now addicted to using this strongest ninjutsu between the 1,000-hand pillars, and likes to crush his opponent directly from the momentum. I saw a huge Buddha head appear under Yi Feng's feet, and immediately after, a 1,000-handed giant Buddha with thousands of arms behind him rumbled in front of everyone in the city. Groove. Sandine Village, who was originally standing behind Yi Feng, was startled, watching the ground shatter and the land collapse, reacted very quickly, and hurriedly retreated. But he reacted quickly, and he was not as fast as the appearance of the real 1,000 hands, and in the middle of the jump, he was rubbed by the corner of the rising 1,000 hands Buddha. Instantly, a large mouthful of blood spewed out and flew out upside down. At the same time, Chimu Shuamao and Bufeng Shuemen, with their own instantaneous techniques, barely dodged the disaster that appeared in Jinqian's hands. The samurai leader who had just been beaten had just stood up, and was shocked so that he sat on the ground, looking up at the 1,000-handed giant Buddha in front of him, which was several times taller than the city and towering into the clouds. What is this? The samurai who were already full of bows and arrows above the city, their eyes widened, and the bows and arrows in their hands were directly unstable, and they fell to the ground, looking up at the 1,000-handed Buddha high above, and the fishmeal above the head of the Buddha. The highest point of the City of Wind is about 20 meters, and the giant Buddha in front of you is more than 10 times the highest point. At this time, the daimyo of the country of Wind was in the center of the City of Wind, drinking wine in the daimyo's mansion, and behind him, stood two imposing samurai. Suddenly, there was a loud rumbling noise outside. The daimyo of the land of Wind turned his head and looked at it, so frightened that the wine glass in his hand fell to the ground. Bang! So, what is that? The two samurai behind him looked strangely towards the side of the daimyo of the Wind country. Stunned, their hair stood on end, and a cold breath rushed directly up from the tail keel. I saw a towering 1,000-handed Buddha standing outside the city gate, at least 30 meters high. The city gate is like a small balustrade in front of this big Buddha. As soon as the big Buddha went down, the city gate collapsed directly. To see the ununderlined version of the novel, please download Fly. Chapter 094. You are listening at novelfull.audio. What is this? The Wind Country daimyo was stunned. What the hell is this thing? The samurai next to him were just as dumbfounded. What in the world is this? They had never seen such an enormous, 1,000-handed great Buddha. Over on the Sand Village side, everyone who saw the form of Jinqian's hands was completely floored. Only then did they truly grasp the extent of Yi Feng's fearsome power. Without the comparison to the city wall, they wouldn't have realized how terrifyingly huge those thousands of hands really were. It's all about perspective. The Wind Country city, which the Sand Ninjas thought was impenetrable, now seemed as flimsy as paper against Jinqian's hands. Chio looked at Hai Laozong and said, I'm going to take a closer look. You stay here. Hai Laozang nodded, a feeling of unease settling in. If Yi Feng really did convince the Wind Country daimyo to submit, then Sand Village would become a subordinate village to Konoha. That's something tens of thousands of ninjas would never accept. The civilians and merchants in Wind Country City saw the towering, thousand-handed great Buddha and scattered in terror. The samurai, however, rushed to the city walls. One of the strongest swordsmen among them looked up at the towering figure of Yi Feng and demanded, "Who are you, and why are you causing trouble in the land of wind?" Yi Feng said casually, "I'm not looking for trouble. Your gate guards just wouldn't let us in. Tell your Wind Country daimyo to come out." "How dare you!" Bang! Before the samurai could finish his sentence, Yi Feng's Zhenqian hands slammed down, turning him into a bloody smear, and the samurai around him weren't spared either. The remaining samurai of the land of wind recoiled in terror. Even the swordsman who had spoken earlier couldn't help but tremble before Yi Feng's might. It was a primal instinct to fear something so much stronger, a need to escape. Just then, a commotion arose from behind. The Wind Country daimyo, flanked by his samurai, approached. The closer he got to the city gate, the more terrified he became. This thousand-hand Buddha before him was truly colossal. "Who might you be?" The other samurai also surrounded the Wind Country daimyo, watching Yi Feng warily. Another one said, "Daimyo-sama, why did you come to such a dangerous place?" "Stand back." The Wind Country daimyo shook his head and said, "Sir, why don't you come down and we can talk?" Yi Feng looked at the Wind Country daimyo, surprised by his composure. He really did have the presence of a daimyo. Though he had no personal strength, he managed to command the loyalty of so many samurai with his lineage and charisma. Bang! With a resounding crash, Zhenqian's hands began to dissipate, and Yi Feng descended. Kakashi and Minato stood behind him, cautiously observing their surroundings. The samurai of the Wind Country stared at the trio, their hands gripping their swords. "Who are you people?" one samurai demanded, his hand on his sword hilt. Minato stepped forward and said, "We are from Konoha, and this is our fourth Hokage." Fourth Hokage? The daimyo's heart skipped a beat. So young. He must be a hero forged in troubled times. "Fourth Hokage-sama, what is your name?" the Wind Country daimyo asked respectfully. "My name is Yi Feng. I'm here to discuss something with you." As he spoke, an immense pressure emanated from Yi Feng's body, causing those around him to tremble. So powerful. It's terrifying. The surrounding samurai drew their long swords and charged at Yi Feng, their blades flashing in the light. But Yi Feng was faster. Roots burst from the ground, ensnaring the samurai's feet. The samurai who had drawn their swords were thrown to the ground. Bang! Their teeth were nearly knocked out. The others looked at Yi Feng with horror etched on their faces. This is a ninja, a frightening one. But in the next instant, the strongest swordsman present made his move. However, the figures of Kakashi and Minato suddenly appeared behind him, kunai pressed against his neck. This swordsman was only an elite jonin at best, against two powerhouses who were close to Kage level, or even Kage level already. He was nothing. The daimyo's face was now slick with cold sweat. Even the strongest swordsman in Wind Country was no match for these three. The scene froze, the hearts of everyone in Wind Country trembled. These three were just too powerful. Especially their speed from just now, no one could keep up. The samurai were ashamed, their faces burning with embarrassment. Seeing that his people were no match, the daimyo sighed. "Fourth Hokage-sama, please, let's talk inside. There's no need for violence." Yi Feng smiled and said, "That's a good idea." Soon, Yi Feng was led by the daimyo to his mansion in the heart of Wind Country City. Along the way, terrified merchants and commoners stared at Yi Feng talking with the daimyo, wondering about the identity of this young man. Even the daimyo-sama seemed to treat him with the utmost respect. Could he be the son of some powerful daimyo? That didn't make sense. Even if he were, the daimyo-sama wouldn't be this polite. Everyone was consumed with curiosity. Inside the daimyo's mansion, the daimyo said, "You all wait outside." "Daimyo-sama, we can't leave you." A samurai protested. The swordsman also looked at the daimyo. The daimyo shook his head and said, "No need. The fourth Hokage is here to talk, not to kill. You all go out." The daimyo thought to himself, even if you are here, this fourth Hokage can easily kill me if he wanted to. The thousand-hand technique from before had completely crushed any thought of resistance within the Wind Country daimyo, so, the samurai reluctantly closed the doors and left. Minato and Kakashi guarded outside. They, along with the swordsman, stared at each other. Even Minato was amazed. Feng had actually brought him and Kakashi to fight Sand Village, and now he was sitting with the Wind Country daimyo. It was something he never imagined. When only Feng and the daimyo remained in the room, Feng smiled slightly and sat down. The Wind Country daimyo also looked at Feng with great interest, such a powerful ninja barging into enemy territory alone. And with an upper-level sand ninja as his guide. Did that mean Sand Village had already fallen? It was incredible to be sitting here talking like this. Please, the daimyo said respectfully, this is our special sand tea from the land of wind. Feng took a sip, nodded, and said, not bad. After a brief chat, the daimyo asked, Lord Feng, what brings you here today? The daimyo tried to appear calm, but the slight tremble in his hand betrayed his anxiety. Feng said, well, Wind Country daimyo, my goal is simple, to ask that you allow Sand Village to rejoin Konoha Village. What? You want me to allow Sand Village to rejoin Konoha Village? Feng nodded. Knowing the times makes a man wise. I trust you will make the right choice. The Wind Country daimyo was sweating profusely. He said hesitantly, so, would Konoha then protect the security of our Wind Country? Lord Feng, with all due respect, can Konoha even manage that distance? Feng smiled and said, I'm only asking Sand Village to submit to Konoha, becoming a subordinate village. But Sand Village will retain control over its own affairs. To be honest, Konoha only wants to ensure that Sand Village doesn't sneak attack us. We'll only station a small number of people here, which won't affect Sand Village's mission to protect the land of wind. Hearing this, the Wind Country daimyo considered it for a moment, nodded, and said, I agree to that. But let me be frank, Lord Feng. Our permission in Wind Country is just a formality for Sand Village. It's like your fourth Hokage taking office, whether the Fire Country permits it or not doesn't matter, as long as Konoha or the fourth Hokage agrees. We daimyo of the Wind Country now have little power to approve anything. But since you came to ask in person, Lord Feng, we in the Wind Country will grant your request and allow Sand Village to rejoin Konoha Village. The Wind Country daimyo thought to himself, if I don't agree, the Wind Country might change its name today, knowing the times makes a man wise. This Lord Feng is quite cultured. Feng hadn't expected him to agree so readily. It seemed this daimyo valued his life above all else. After all, without life, nothing else mattered. When Feng walked out of the land of wind with the agreement in hand, Murakami, the shinobi who led the way, was shocked. The land of wind daimyo actually caved. Feng handed the agreement to Kakashi and said, go talk to Sand Village. We'll keep their high-level supervisors in power, but our only condition is to establish a Konoha branch office as a department to oversee Sand Village. That way, we in Konoha won't have to worry about a mole buried for 30 years. We'll be out in the open. Whatever Sand Village wants to do, it can't bypass us. Also, let that old man reopen his tavern in Sand Village. The Sand Village ninjas enjoy his brew. He's been in Sand Village for so many years. I think he'll want to stay. Kakashi nodded earnestly. Thank you, Naruto-sama, that he knew that Feng was giving him the credit for this negotiation. That way, Konoha wouldn't hold his mistake from last time against him. Kakashi was deeply moved. From that moment on, he vowed to be absolutely loyal to Feng. Kakashi and Minato went to Sand Village first, while Feng slowly enjoyed the scenery. Suddenly, there was a wave of heat in the air. A blazing fireball rapidly grew behind Feng. Feng seemed completely unaware and didn't react at all. A triumphant smile appeared on the face of the attacker. Suddenly, Feng's body popped and turned into a piece of wood. Substitution jutsu. What? A surprised exclamation came. In the next moment, Yi Feng had already appeared behind the person. So, there are still people in Sand Village who dare to assassinate me. Yi Feng said lightly, his eyes on the tall and beautiful figure before him. The figure looked shocked and quickly jumped back, creating distance between them. As expected of the fourth Hokage. You easily defeated Ichigo Crane Guard and evaded my sneak attack with ease. Yi Feng looked at the attacker and immediately recognized her as a beautiful ninja. Sand Village's blazing ninja, Pakura. You know me? She replied, daring to intrude into Sand Village and threaten the Wind Country daimyo. Even if you're the fourth Hokage, you'll die here. Is that up to you? Yi Feng couldn't help but smile. Pakura, the blazing ninja, had a high status in the village and countless battle achievements, but was ultimately betrayed and abandoned to the enemy for assassination. She was resurrected during the Fourth Shinobi World War. Now that he was face to face with her, Yi Feng was a little surprised. She was even better looking in real life than in the anime, bold. But where did this woman's confidence come from? 10 seconds later, Pakura's whole body was bound by tree roots and vines, making strange gestures. Yi Feng had to admit that sometimes, wood release was a little perverted. With all the bindings, it gave one a special sense of beauty. It was so evil. Let me go, Yi Feng chuckled. You were the one who wanted to kill me, and now you want me to let you go? Is that even possible? Then kill me. Yi Feng glanced at Pakura and said, as expected, your IQ is low. No wonder you were tricked into being sent to your death. What do you mean low IQ? Are you insulting me? Didn't insult you. You really do have a low IQ. With that, Yi Feng left. He left Pakura alone. Hey, let me go. Don't you leave. Hey. Yi Feng, you wait. Pakura was trembling with anger. She was bound in the deep mountains, unable to move. It was terrifying, but Yi Feng ignored her and left. It took a long time for Yi Feng to disappear, a full hour, and the roots and vines on Pakura's body withered because they were no longer receiving chakra. Pakura angrily ripped off the roots and vines, burned them to ashes, and said viciously, Yi Feng, you wait. I, Pakura, will definitely get revenge. But at that moment, Yi Feng had already returned to Sand Village. Kakashi and Minato had Chiyo, the fourth Kazekage, and others signed the agreement to return to Konoha. There was no way they could refuse. Most importantly, 1,000 elite Naruto ninjas had arrived. This was something that Yi Feng, Kakashi, and Minato couldn't have imagined. The 1,000 elite ninjas led by Ino Shikacho had barely arrived when they heard that Yi Feng had already subdued Sand Village. Their eyes nearly popped out. Naruto-sama, you took over Sand Village all by yourself? Well, in the end, Kakashi was the one who negotiated. Kakashi, you will temporarily serve as the ambassador of the Konoha branch office in Sand Village. Report back to Konoha with any news. In addition, we will open up a trade route between Konoha and Sand Village to promote exchanges between the two villages. Everyone nodded. At that moment, Hinata rushed over covered in blood. Naruto-sama, something's happened back in Konoha. The ears of the Sand Village ninjas perked up. Something happened in Konoha? Chiyo and Kaizo exchanged glances. It seemed Cloud Village had made their move. Konoha had sent thousands of elite ninjas to Sand Village, leaving their forces weak, and just encountered the third attack by the ninjas led by the third Hokage. Just look at this young ninja covered in blood. Yi Feng was stunned. After hearing Hinata's words, he immediately understood what was going on. Rest and recuperate here in Sand Village. You 1,000 elite ninjas, stay in Sand Village for now and build the Konoha branch office. Then, Yi Feng looked at the fourth Kazekage, Chiyo, and Kaizo and said, Kazekage, elders, I hope you don't do anything stupid. If one Konoha ninja dies here, I'll want 10 Sand Village ninjas buried with them. As soon as he said that, Yi Feng disappeared. Everyone was stunned. So fast. Naruto-sama is amazing. Of course. He is Naruto-sama. It was too fast. Even Minato was shocked. If he guessed correctly, Yi Feng was using the Flying Thunder God technique, but where had he left the mark? As for the Sand Village side, they were initially delighted, thinking that Konoha was in trouble and these Konoha ninjas would all have to hurry back, but Yi Feng had left them all behind and he had issued a cruel warning. In this way, the ninjas of Sand Village had to weigh everything they wanted to do. Was it really worth offending Yi Feng? Suddenly, a loud crash echoed through Konoha Village. The gates were smashed open. A large man stood in the front. It was the third Hokage. This time, the third Hokage was full of spirit. Standing beside him was his son, the future fourth Hokage. And surrounding them were members of the Uchiha police force who had fallen. This time, the gods had truly blessed Cloud Village. Konoha's forces were weak, and their hostage son, A, had also escaped. They had no worries now on the Cloud Village side, and they wouldn't be held back by their son being a hostage. Then, let's kill, rumble. Suddenly, the adamantine staff fell from the sky and smashed into the ground. Hiruzen looked at the newcomer with horror. Third Hokage, what do you want? The third Hokage sneered. Fourth Hokage, what do you think I want? Revenge, of course. Charge. Kill everyone and kidnap Kushina. The third Hokage knew they could only pull off a blitzkrieg and couldn't wait for Yi Feng to return. As long as they killed, kidnapped Kushina, and held her hostage, they could threaten Yi Feng. Yi Feng, no matter how powerful you are, what can you do? You'll definitely have to back down. At that moment, those clan heads who had been trapped by the 18 people of the Umbu, those high-ranking members of Konoha, also came out. Most of them were complaining. See? Yi Feng is too young. Now Konoha is in trouble. I told you, you can't fight. You just wouldn't listen. See how it is now. What are we going to do? Talking about unifying the ninja world? What a joke. We should submit to Cloud Village now. It's still not okay to become Hokage at such a young age. You still don't believe us elders. Look how it's ended now. Yes, it's ridiculous to think about helping Kakashi. I dare say that Yi Feng definitely can't do well on both sides and will come back a failure. Fugaku couldn't help but angrily retort, you so-called elders. When a strong enemy attacks, all you know how to do is talk. If you have any guts, go out and meet the enemy. You're all like traitors. With that, Fugaku rushed forward. You Uchiha are traitors. But Fugaku ignored them and joined the battle. Tsunade and Mito stood at the front. They represented the highest combat power of Konoha now on the other side. Chapter 095. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Lord Hokage. Several elite shinobi shouted, rushing to support the third Hokage, catching his arm. Night Maple. The third Hokage roared, instantly unleashing a surge of lightning chakra, enveloping his entire body and staunching the bleeding from his severed arm. Unbelievably, Night Maple had taken out over 10 Cloud Village ninja, including 3 elite jonin. These were Cloud Village's best. The Hokage glared at Night Maple, who was now in front of Kushina. Damn it. The third Hokage channeled his chakra, activating lightning release armor at full power. Yefun, you're dead. Hell stab, one finger spear. Concentrating chakra into fewer fingers intensified the technique's power, focusing all that power into a single finger made it the ultimate spear. Wood release, tree barrier. Night Maple slammed his hands on the ground, and a shield of interwoven wooden vines erupted from the earth, creating a barrier between him and the third Hokage. But the third Hokage's hell stab could pierce defenses like the Ninja Allied Forces Earth Release Wall and even the Bloodline Limit Ninja's dissolving barrier, let alone some wooden vines. Bang! 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 The tree barrier shattered instantly. The third Hokage exploded forward, appearing right in front of Night Maple. Thump! Yefun's body was torn apart. Thump! Shadow clone. The third Hokage was stunned, almost collapsing. He'd wasted his ultimate attack on a shadow clone while bleeding out. Looking around, he saw Yefun, holding Kushina, 100 yards away. Damn you, The third Raikage collapsed to his knees, dizzy. He'd initially stopped the bleeding, but using his strongest attack had reopened the wound. Suddenly, a wooden dragon erupted from the ground beneath the third Raikage. Wood Dragon Jutsu. The dragon coiled around the Raikage, binding him. Weakened by his injuries, the third Raikage was unable to resist. The wood dragon clamped down on his severed arm, draining his blood and chakra. Ugh! Lord Raikage. Several elite shinobi rushed forward, hacking at the wooden dragon with all their might. In their haste, they also struck the third Raikage. They grabbed him and quickly retreated. Yefeng wanted to pursue, but his chakra was nearly depleted from the earlier battle. Now, he could only watch as they carried the third Raikage away, but Yefeng wasn't finished. The third Raikage is crippled. Konoha, attack! Yefeng's voice echoed across the battlefield. The Konoha ninja, hearing this, were electrified. Most importantly, the third Raikage was seriously injured, missing a hand, and had been forced to retreat, escorted by Cloud Village ninja. Sarutobi and Tsunade sighed in relief, seeing the third Raikage fleeing with his injury. The Konoha higher-ups, who had been complaining about Yefeng, were dumbfounded. They hadn't expected Cloud Village to be so easily routed. Yefeng's return had instantly turned the tide. The third Raikage is down. Konoha ninja, attack! Uchiha Fugaku and other jonin led the charge against the retreating Cloud Village ninja. The Konoha forces roared, surging forward, eager for the kill. With the third Raikage down, Cloud Village's formation crumbled. The counterattacking Konoha ninja scattered the Cloud Village forces. Attack! Attack! Run! Konoha's forces, fueled by adrenaline and vengeance, relentlessly pursued the Cloud Village forces. Cloud Village had overextended themselves, penetrating too deep into Konoha territory. Now they would pay the price. After witnessing their leader's defeat, the morale of Cloud Village completely collapsed under Konoha's relentless assault. Cloud Village ninja abandoned their armor and fled in disarray, losing their bearings. Many Cloud Village ninja became lost in the forest of death, meeting their end. In a particularly humiliating scene, a panicked Cloud Village ninja was killed by a Konoha chunin. Meanwhile, a group of elite Cloud Village ninja were carrying the third Raikage north, towards the Land of Lightning. The fourth Raikage, was by his side. The third Raikage was pale from blood loss. A medical ninja was desperately trying to stabilize him. Even if they could reattach the hand, it would be useless. For a Raikage who relied on ninjutsu, it was a crippling blow, worse than death. With his right hand gone, the third Raikage's reign was effectively over. Lord Raikage, of the 10,000 we brought, less than 1,000 have returned. The third Raikage's eyes widened. The heavens are against me. They had just reached the border between the Land of Fire and the Land of Lightning. The third Raikage, overcome with rage, coughed up a mouthful of blood and passed out. Father! Lord Raikage! Everyone rushed to his side. Lord Yefeng! Lord Hokage! In Konoha, the atmosphere was completely different. As Yefeng passed, Konoha ninja stopped their celebrations, stood at attention, and saluted him. Their eyes were filled with fanaticism and adoration. Cheers erupted everywhere he went. Kushina, Uchiha Mikoto, Rin, everyone's eyes lit up as they looked at Yefeng. The Konoha higher-ups who had previously wanted to impeach Yefeng now flocked to his side, showering him with praise. Lord Hokage saved Konoha. Yes, Lord Hokage came just in time. That move was incredible. I suggest it become mandatory training for all jonin. Yefeng ignored the sycophants. He had spies who had told him how dissatisfied these same people were when he was gone, and that they were even threatening to impeach him. He'd settle the score later. Today was a day for celebration. Not only had they defeated Cloud Village, but they had also crippled the third Raikage. Plus, Yefeng had brought Sand Village into the fold. The village's elite were waiting for Yefeng to review the results of the counterattack. When they saw Yefeng, they quickly saluted. Lord Yefeng! Lord Hokage! They looked at Yefeng with respect. He was Konoha's new god. He'd cut off the third Raikage's hand and single-handedly brought Sand Village under Konoha's control. His power was immense. Yefeng nodded. What's the situation? An officer stepped forward. We estimate that we've killed at least 6,266 Cloud Village ninja and captured 1,866. The numbers will likely rise as more reports come in. And our losses? We suffered fewer than 1,000 casualties. Over 6,000 enemies killed. Nearly 2,000 captured. Fewer than 1,000 casualties on their side. A complete victory. Cloud Village's attack of 10,000 had resulted in nearly 10,000 casualties, crippling them. Such heavy losses would be devastating for Cloud Village. Yefeng's mind raced. What if they rested for a day and launched a blitzkrieg against the Land of Lightning in Cloud Village? Not bad, Yefeng said. It's all thanks to Lord Hokage. Yes, all thanks to Lord Hokage, that the others echoed. Yefeng waved his hand. Enough with the flattery. Since we've defeated Cloud Village, let's press our advantage. We'll counterattack the Land of Lightning. If we take the Land of Lightning, we'll be set. That the elite ninja shouted their approval. Lord Hokage is amazing. But Konoha's elders objected. Lord Hokage, think carefully. Cloud Village was caught off guard. We won this battle because of their mistakes. If we invade the Land of Lightning, we could suffer the same fate. We absolutely cannot invade enemy territory. Yes, and Lord Hokage brought Sand Village into the fold without the Fire Nation daimyo's approval. If we attack the Land of Lightning, we risk upsetting the daimyo. Lord Hokage, we must discuss this first. Yefeng smiled at the dissenting elders. The Fire Nation daimyo? Arrest these people. I suspect they're spies from other villages. They talk about the Land of Fire, about peace, but they don't care about Konoha. Bringing Sand Village into our fold opens a trade route from the Land of Fire to the Land of Wind. Do you understand the business opportunities this creates for Konoha? This trade route belongs to Konoha. We control it. If we defeat the Land of Lightning and Cloud Village, we can open a trade route with them too. And you're ignoring this? The elders paled as Anbu surrounded them. Yefeng had seemed so reasonable before. They'd forgotten he was a ruthless killer. They'd thought they were acting in the village's best interest, but Yefeng was having none of it. Lord Hokage, I'm doing this for Konoha. Lord Hokage, be reasonable. Yefeng smiled. Danzo also said he was doing everything for Konoha. The Shimura clan, the Mitokado clan, all sacrificed for Konoha. Using Konoha as a justification is a convenient excuse. Throw them in prison for questioning. The Anbu responded, yes, Lord Hokage. The pro-war ninja cheered when the elders resisted. Yefeng quickly subdued them himself. One of them shouted, Lord Third Hokage. Sarutobi coughed. I'm retired. Everything is up to the fourth Hokage. Sarutobi realized he was old. He wouldn't stand in the way of the younger generation. Besides, he agreed with Yefeng's proposal. They should capitalize on their momentum. Konoha had the strength. The dissenting elders were dragged away. The centrists remained silent. The pro-war faction was ecstatic. Lord Hokage, what now? Yefeng thought for a moment. The strongest fighters in Konoha, besides me, are the third Hokage, and he is injured, and my chakra still needs to recover. Uchiha Fugaku, I'm sending you to the Land of Lightning, to Cloud Village, to negotiate their surrender. Give them a letter, surrender and no one dies. Otherwise, I'll be at the gates of Cloud Village in a week. Uchiha Fugaku replied, yes, Lord Hokage. He was thrilled. He hadn't expected Yefeng to entrust him with such an important task. Many other jonin were more qualified than him. Uchiha Fugaku felt like he'd found someone to give his life for. Even if Yefeng ordered him to die, he would gladly do it. Yefeng smiled. Scare them a little. Let the third Raikage stew in his own anger. Also, contact the Fire Nation daimyo. I want to meet him. Yefeng had to secure his position before the real war began. The daimyo's attitude was critical. If the daimyo was reasonable, he would step aside and cede power. If not, Yefeng wouldn't hesitate to replace him. Chapter 096. You are listening at Novelfull.audio. Land of Fire, City of Fire, home to the Fire Daimyo. Fire Daimyo Toku sat across from Hokage, his expression respectful. What Hokage-sama wants, this daimyo understands perfectly. I'm fully on board. Konoha will have my complete support. Feng's proposal passed without a hitch, especially since the gates of the Fire City were still a bit smashed. Kid had simply flexed his muscles and the Fire Daimyo fell right in line. The truth was, shadow-level powerhouses were way beyond samurai at this point. Crossing them wasn't a smart move. Someone like Hashirama Senju could probably wipe out 100,000 soldiers without breaking a sweat. Daimyo Toku knew better than to mess with Feng. Feng wasn't trying to take over the city of Fire was still the daimyo's domain, the land of fire was still his responsibility. That was the established order. Like some future figurehead emperor, he was a symbol more than anything else. Night Maple returned from the land of fire with the Fire Daimyo's personal guarantee. The fourth Hokage, Night Maple, had full authority over Konoha's war efforts, and the Fire Country would back him all the way. As for the pacifists, they were all rounded up and the Umbu went to work. Shain Village had flipped and was now fully supporting Feng, and an investigation by Kakashi and Minato revealed that many in the peace faction had been in cahoots with Shain. That's why they wanted peace. No fighting meant they could rake in more benefits from both villages and keep their families riding high. Too bad for them they ran into a Hokage like Kid, he squashed them flat. Just like the Shimura, the Dormitory, and the Mito clans, they were all scattered and sent to the front lines. Feng didn't even have to lift a finger, the Umbu took care of it all. Overnight, Konoha's top families shifted again. It started with 38, but the Shimura, Dormitory, and Mito clans were out, leaving 35. Then, just one night, another 5 families bit the dust. Those 5 families were made an example of. Nobody expected Feng to be so ruthless, to strike so fast, and wipe out 5 elite families in an instant. There wasn't a thing anyone could do. Shain Village had turned over all the evidence, no backbone whatsoever. It was irrefutable, just like the last public trial. The next morning, hundreds of people were tied up in the square. All from those 5 families. The people of Konoha woke up to a special Hokage-approved newspaper. It detailed the crimes of those 5 families. Collaboration. One charge was enough to ruin them forever. In a shinobi village, loyalty was everything. What those 5 families did was basically treason. The list included the Hemp Rope family, and a few others who had been the loudest voices against Feng. Feng hadn't seen that coming. He'd thought they were just loyal advisors, but turns out they were greedy, craven traitors. Early in the morning, the villagers of Konoha were waving their newspapers and pointing at the 5 families in the square. So those are the guys always preaching peace, they're enemies from the inside. No wonder they were always against Naruto-sama attacking other villages. They were being paid off by them. Traitors. Village thieves. Kill them. Kill. Kill them all. The crowd was a frenzy. At the front, the head of the Hemp Rope family was pale and trembling. Naruto-sama, I've been framed. He was kicking himself, wishing he'd never said a word against Feng. He had no idea Feng was so terrifying, that he'd get caught and wouldn't get any special treatment. The fall of the previous 3 families had already hurt Konoha, but Feng just kept on going. It was insane. He had thought he was on the moral high ground, that he could condemn Feng's warmongering, especially when the third Raikage led thousands from Yunin village to attack Konoha. The Hemp Rope family head had thought victory was in sight. Then, Feng had shown up out of nowhere and turned the whole thing around, and then, with the help of 3 others, he'd actually conquered Shain Village. And the daimyo of the Land of Wind was now bowing down to him. He'd gotten a surrender agreement. Shain Village was weak and spilled everything and his 5 families were screwed, but the Hemp Rope head wasn't giving up. Naruto-sama, this is a huge misunderstanding. We were pretending to work with Sunagakure, we were actually spying on them for Konoha's sake. We're dedicated to Konoha. As soon as those words were out of his mouth, the heads of the other 4 families started chanting the same story. They were sacrificing everything for Konoha. It almost worked on some of the villagers. They seemed to have a point, but Feng waved his hand, and Umbu members marched forward with boxes of gold, boxes of money, boxes of treasure, and dumped them in the square. Yi Feng didn't say a word, and the 5 family heads turned white as ghosts. They recognized it all. It had been seized from their family estates. A full-on raid. Yi Feng was still silent, and the head of the interrogation department roared, "How dare you say that? If it was all for Konoha, why were you smuggling it out of the village and hoarding it for yourselves instead of handing it over to Konoha? The illegal profits of these 5 families, the money, the gold, the valuables, it all adds up to over 100 million taels." The villagers erupted. 100 million taels. Konoha's annual administrative income was only 100 million taels. The villagers and ninjas started screaming, "Kill them! Kill!" The hemp rope patriarch was ashen. "Lord Naruto, I knew nothing about this. I've been framed." Yi Feng looked at him coldly. "We'll find out the truth after the interrogation. We'll publish a real-time newspaper of the 5 families' trial every day, so everyone can follow along." The people tied up in the square were completely stunned, many collapsing to the ground. Then, Ye Feng announced, "This ill-gotten wealth was acquired at the expense of Konoha. So, Konoha will be using it for our own benefit, to provide subsidies for injured ninjas and for the orphans of Konoha. These traitors, betraying our village for their own glory and wealth, caused our ninjas to be injured or killed and destroyed countless families. All of this money will be used to make amends." The villagers of Konoha cheered. "Naruto-sama. Long live Naruto-sama. Naruto-sama is awesome." In the end, key people were thrown in prison, and core members were banished. Ordinary people from those families weren't guilty, but they had to disown their old families, integrate into Konoha, and become ordinary villagers. The fallout from this wasn't over. The 5 families, plus the 3 from before, served as a serious warning. The remaining clans in Konoha were having emergency internal meetings. What were they supposed to do? A lot of families had smuggled to other villages in the past. Nothing was ever completely clean, but now, with Yi Feng cracking down like this, were they going to end up like those 8 families? That was the question plaguing everyone in Konoha. Of course, Yi Feng was already anticipating their worries. His solution was simple: every family in Konoha had to turn over all their past ill-gotten gains, and all their previous transgressions would be forgiven. The families complied, and Konoha gained over 100 million in assets. Yi Feng turned a blind eye, closing the case as long as they didn't do it again. The fall of the 5 families was a big deal, but things moved on quickly. Ye Feng was getting ready for his wedding when more trouble came. Uchiha Fugaku returned from his mission to Yunin Village. He was the only survivor. Even though Uchiha Fugaku was badly hurt, he unlocked his Sharingan in the face of death, took out his pursuers, and made it back to Konoha. "Naruto-sama, I failed your mission." It's not your fault. Rest up and heal. I messed up." Yi Feng realized he'd been too careless sending Uchiha Fugaku to Yunin Village. Yunin was clearly tougher than Wuin or Shien. Even with the 3rd Raikage badly injured, they still refused to surrender. In the Hokage office, Ye Feng tapped on the table. "We'll shelf this for now." He would definitely be going to Yunin Village eventually. The ninja continent wasn't going to stay quiet for long. Even if the ninja world was unified, there was still Black Zetsu out there. He wasn't sure he had fully killed Heizetsu the first time, but now, the priority was the wedding in 2 days. He and Kushina were getting married. Everything else would have to wait. 2 days later, Konoha Village, the Uzumaki compound, 9 in the morning. It was a beautiful day, clear blue sky, cloudless, as clear as jasper. Yi Feng took Kushina's soft hand and said, "Kushina, it's 9 o'clock, let's get going." Kushina was wearing a snow-white wedding dress, her red hair swept up, looking beautiful and angelic. She nodded, smiled, and gently squeezed the palm of his hand. "Yi Feng, let's go." "Yeah." Ding, congratulations to the host and Kushina on their wedding. After the wedding night, the system will upgrade and provide a super gift package. We hope the host continues to work hard. Yi Feng blinked. He didn't realize the wedding night was going to trigger a system upgrade. Suddenly, he was looking forward to it as he opened the gates of the Uzumaki compound. Uchiha Mikoto, Minato Namikaze, Kakashi Hitaki, Uchiha Fugaku, the Hyuga brothers, plus Team 7, Terumi, and the 2 teak cats were all waiting at the door when they saw Yefeng in a suit and Kushina in her white wedding dress. They gasped, "Teacher, Yefeng looks so handsome. Kushina looks so beautiful." All along the way, people were constantly showering Yefeng and Kushina with good wishes. Finally, Yefeng and Kushina arrived at the auditorium. With everyone's blessings, Yefeng took Kushina's hand and walked to the center of the auditorium. "The 4th Hokage-sama looks so handsome. Kushina is so beautiful. Ah, Naruto-sama is getting married." Yefeng was a big deal in Konoha, and lots of girls looked at Kushina with envy, wishing they could trade places with her and be the star of this gorgeous wedding. After the wedding ceremony, it was finally time to eat. First, the exchange of vows and drinks. Kushina blushed, her eyes fixed on Yefeng, and she drank a glass of wine. From today on, she, Kushina, was Yefeng's wife, officially. The wedding banquet was first class, gorgeous, and grand, and the whole village celebrated. Whether they knew Night Maple or not, they came to celebrate Night Maple. The wedding banquet went on until 9 in the evening, slowly winding down, with plenty of people drinking too much. Yefeng took Kushina, and after making the rounds, declared that everyone should enjoy themselves and left. There were more important things to do tonight. Kushina hadn't had much to drink, but she was flushed, a little drunk, and leaning into his arms, the girls sighed softly, their eyes full of envy. Uchiha Mikoto watched from a distance, biting her lip, wanting to be in Kushina's place. "Let's go." Soon, Yefeng carried Kushina back to their room. "Kushina, are you tired?" Yefeng gently placed her on the bed and leaned down. Kushina's red lips parted and she nodded softly. Yefeng smiled. "Then let's rest." Kushina looked up at him, put her hands on his neck, and whispered, "Mm." A night of bliss ensued. The first rays of sunlight shone in the morning. Yefeng opened his eyes, and Kushina was curled up like a kitten in his arms. Suddenly, the system voice came to his mind. Ding! System update complete. Name, Yi-Ki. Strength, Super Shadow Level. Position, 4th Hokage. Character cards, SSS Level Senju Hashirama, Fusion Degree 100%, S-Class Original Water Shadow White Lotus, Fusion Degree 10%, S-Class Vortex Ashina, Fusion Degree 100%, Unfused, S-Class Senjukuma, SSS Level Uchiha Itachi, SSS Level Uchiha Spot, Dirt Rebirth, Blood Succession Limit, God Level Mu Duan, 6 Dao Power, 10%, Ninjutsu, Flying Thunder God Art LV3, Dirt Reincarnation LV3, Thunder Thousand Birds LV3, Amarenka LV3, Mamaheo no Jutsu LV3, Harem no Jutsu LV3. Shuriken Shadow Doppelganger Art LV3. System update completed. Reward Super Package. Mainline selection open. Mainline selection. What was that all about? Yifeng had been holding Kushina, warm and fragrant, and now his grip tightened slightly, and she sighed softly. Jerk! Then she fell back asleep. Last night had been exhausting. Yifeng saw that she was out cold and started investigating the new system. The system had a new mainline selection. Clicking through revealed the following. Option 1. Be a Hokage quietly, protect Konoha, unify the ninja world. Reward, any door in the One Piece world, permanent, open at will. Option 2. Quietly be a behind-the-scenes villain boss, form the Akatsuki organization, collect tailed beasts, suppress the ninja world. Reward, any door of the Shinigami world, permanent, open at will. Option 3. Be a gentleman quietly, collect more than 10 crystal palaces. Reward, Date Wars world any door, permanent, open at will. Yifeng's eyes widened. These options were tempting. A permanent any door that can open to 3 worlds at will. This was insane. Did that mean he could connect to Bleach, One Piece, and date alive whenever he wanted? And that last option was a little weird. System, you pervert. I just married Kushina, you want me to open a harem? No, I'm definitely not choosing that third option. Wait, these 3 options aren't mutually exclusive. He could quietly be a Hokage, quietly be a villain boss, and then quietly be a gentleman. Yikid thought, what a fragrance. Kushina snuggled closer, well, I'll sleep on it, I can always figure this out later. Chapter 097. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Around 2 p.m., Yefeng woke up. Joshinai, still snuggled up next to him, was blushing. He smiled, and she playfully punched him in the arm. Usually, she's a wildcat, but in his arms, she was totally different, like a little bird. Oh yeah, there was also a super gift package. He opened it up, ding. Congratulations, you've received a role-playing template. Role-playing templates? He read the description and finally understood, these are character cards. The more you act like the character on the card, the faster your fusion level increases. You could even hit maximum fusion in a single day. And if you really nail the role, surpassing the original character, your fusion level can go over 100%, giving you abilities beyond what they had. He was stunned. Role-playing could boost fusion past 100%, surpassing the original character. He checked his stats, name, Yefeng, strength, super shadow level, title, 4th Hokage, character cards, SSS rank Hashirama Senju, 100% fusion, S rank original water shadow White Lotus, 10% fusion, S rank Kushina Uzumaki, 100% fusion, unfused, S rank Senju Kuma, S rank Uchiha Itachi X2, SSS rank Uchiha Madara. Reanimated, bloodline limit, God level would release, 6 paths power, 10%, ninjutsu, Flying Thunder God Technique LV3, Reanimation Jutsu LV3, Lightning Blade LV3, Outer Path. Samsara of Heavenly Life Technique LV3, Creation Rebirth LV3, Harem Jutsu LV3, Shuriken Shadow Clone Jutsu LV3. Maybe I should try role-playing as Hashirama first. He got up, thinking. Kushina seemed to remember something, then winced. He helped her sit up. You should rest. Blushing, she nodded, feeling a little guilty for not being a better wife. He gently laid her back down and left the room. He was thinking about how to role-play, and who to start with. Hashirama was the obvious choice. After all, Hashirama's wife, Mito Uzumaki, was in the Uzumaki compound. He ran into her as soon as he stepped outside. Grandma Mito, she smiled. Yefeng, you're up. Yeah. Don't forget your Hokage duties. Of course. Grandma Mito, I wanted to ask you about the first Hokage. She paused, surprised. You want to know about Hashirama? Yes. I want to know what kind of person he really was. He needed to know the man to play the part. Mito studied him. So, you want to learn from Hashirama? He nodded. She proceeded to tell him everything. She first met him in the Uzumaki village, when Hashirama came with his father to visit Ashina Uzumaki, the clan head. Later, she married into the Senju clan. After the Valley of the End battle, Hashirama subdued the 9-tailed beasts and distributed them to the major ninja villages, ushering in the current era of peace. She told him about Hashirama's ideals, mantras, style, relationships, everything. Even his complicated relationship with Madara came up. In her eyes, Madara was proud and arrogant compared to Hashirama. That was probably true. He took notes, listening intently. Mito was pleased to see his dedication, feeling that Hashirama's ideals could be passed down through him. Meanwhile, he was just thinking, I'm gonna nail this role. Leaving the Uzumaki compound, he immediately went out and bought a set of Hashirama's Hokage robes. And the red armor he always wore. He went to the tailor shop where Hashirama used to have his clothes made. The current owner's father had been Hashirama's tailor, and he was thrilled to see him. When he heard that Yefeng wanted to commission a set of Hashirama's clothes, he assured him, Lord Hokage, I promise it'll be done today. I'll work all night if I have to. Thank you, he said. The tailor refused to take payment, but he insisted on giving him 1,000 taels. Then, he went back to the Hokage's office to wait for his new costume to be finished. That evening, Yefeng finished work and went to pick it up. The tailor quickly presented the finished robes. He was ecstatic. Time to start role-playing. Instead of going back to the Uzumaki compound, he returned to his office. Shadow Clone Jutsu. He created shadow clones to guard the perimeter of the office, ensuring his privacy. He didn't want anyone barging in while he was changing. Then, grinning, he entered the office and began. He put on the red and black Hokage robes, tied on the red forehead protector, sat in the Hokage's chair, clasped the Hokage cloak in his hands, and struck the exact pose from the 5 Kage summit photos. Is this right? Ding. Congratulations, you've successfully portrayed Hashirama Senju. Similarity, 10%. He cleared his throat and boomed, the villagers of Konoha are part of my body. I believe in them, and they believe in me. That's what it means to be Hokage, ding. Congratulations, you've successfully portrayed Hashirama Senju. Similarity, 30%. He went on, I want to protect my village. No matter what, I believe that if you protect the village, you protect the people, the ninja, and the children. No matter who the enemy is, friend, brother, even my own child, if they threaten the village, I will not forgive them, ding. Congratulations, you've successfully portrayed Hashirama Senju. Similarity, 50%. He was disappointed that he only reached 50%, but then, he smiled. Since the fusion level of the Hashirama Senju character card has reached 100%, the fusion level has exceeded 100%, reaching 101%. Ding! The ninjutsu associated with Hashirama Senju, Wood Dragon Technique, has evolved into threefold Wood Dragon Technique. The fusion level had surpassed 101%. And one of his jutsu had evolved 3 times the power. Chapter 098. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Feng was pumped. But he was also scratching his head, wondering why his lookalike score was only 50%. He felt like he was nailing the character. Ding! The biggest difference is your hair. Feng did a double take. Then he got it. No way. That's it. Hashirama Senju had long hair, while Feng's hair was short. Okay, that actually made sense. So, could I pull off Madara Uchiha? Uchiha's hairstyle should be easier, Feng figured. If he was gonna go as Uchiha Madara, he might as well waltz right into Yunin Village as the guy. He had to make sure he wasn't recognized, so he needed to put together Uchiha's outfit beforehand. Feng glanced at his Impure World Reincarnation Uchiha Madara character card. If he wasn't mistaken, it was the reanimation version, juiced up with Hashirama's cells and decked out in red armor. Red armor, where am I gonna find that? Wait, it's kinda like samurai gear. A light bulb went off. He could hit up Fire Country City, it was crawling with samurai, so they should have samurai gear. So, the next day, Feng had his shadow clone hold down the fort in Konoha while he snuck off to Fire Country to scout out some equipment. Feng played the part of a merchant, strolled into Fire Country, and poked around a few samurai shops. To his surprise, they actually had red armor like Uchiha Madara's. Some vendors were even hawking it on the street. Specifically marked as Uchiha gear, someone in this era was making bank. You wouldn't find many entrepreneurs like that in a militarized ninja village like Konoha, but Fire Country City was teeming with them. Feng realized that the shinobi village was the military muscle of the Fire Country, while Fire Country City took care of the commerce. They went hand in hand. Hey, boss, I'll take that Uchiha Madara armor set. Well, now, you've got an eye for quality. The chubby merchant said. Sir, where are you shipping this? We offer free delivery, and we only charge 20 taels per floor for moving it upstairs. Feng waved him off. Nah, I'll take it with me. The merchant looked surprised. Sir, this Uchiha Madara armor is substantial, even though it's a replica. It's gotta weigh over 200 pounds. You sure you can handle that? No sweat. Just hand it over. So, Feng forked over 10,000 taels and lugged away the armor, but he hadn't taken 2 steps when he heard a commotion behind him. Hey, who gave you permission to set up shop here? That when the merchant spotted them, he snatched up Feng's money and bolted. Feng was speechless. Was this an unlicensed vendor? But the merchant didn't get far before the guards tackled him. You're under arrest for selling counterfeit goods. Just like that, the stall merchant who just made 10 grand off Yefeng was busted by the Fire Country City Guard fishing for unlicensed vendors. Yefeng was cracking up, but he didn't stick around. He hightailed it out of there with 300 pounds of armor. After finding a hotel, Yefeng immediately strapped on the red armor. It even came with a fake Uchiha war fan. He heard it was a 1:1 replica, but Yefeng didn't bother checking. Suddenly, Yefeng had a thought: why didn't Madara bust out his signature weapon, the Uchiha fan, during his last stand against Hashirama? Was he faking his death again? But that didn't make sense. Yefeng had recovered his body and sealed it away in a law array. Even if he resurrected, he couldn't escape, unless he had something up his sleeve. Black Zetsu. Yefeng didn't overthink it. He'd deal with it if Madara came back to life. As long as his 6 paths fusion hit 100%, he could go toe-to-toe with Kaguya Otsutsuki. Ding! Role-playing Uchiha Madara, similarity, 10%. Yefeng racked his brain, thinking about everything he knew about Uchiha Madara. His life, practicing shuriken with his brother as a kid, meeting Hashirama Senju, the competition to see who could pee the farthest. Then, his brother died. He was defeated by Hashirama's forces but was moved by Hashirama's dream of peace. The two teamed up to found Konoha Village. Then, the Battle of the Valley of the End, and so on. Everything flashed through Yefeng's mind, and he felt like he was starting to grasp Madara's state of mind. Then, Yefeng dropped one of Madara's lines. "You want to dance too?" That line resonated with Yefeng. Ding! Role-playing Uchiha Madara, similarity, 30%. Then, Yefeng struck a few poses. Ding! Cosplay Uchiha Madara, similarity, 50%. Yefeng could feel the Uchiha Madara character card's fusion rate rocketing upwards, visibly, 5%, 5.1%, 5.2%. It blew past 10% in a flash. Role-playing Madara in real life boosted the speed like crazy. Yefeng considered just storming Yunin Village and catching them off guard. His shadow clone could probably hold things down in Konoha. So, Yefeng, rocking the red armor like Uchiha, hopped over the city wall and headed straight for the Land of Lightning in Yunin Village. The Yunin Village defensive line had fallen back several miles from the Thunder Country border, all the way into the heartland. Yunin Village was on life support, barely holding on. They were hunkered down on the outskirts of their own village, trying to keep Yefeng from leading a Konoha raid. Yunin Village had ceded control of the Land of Lightning. The ninja village was barely able to defend itself and had lost its grip on the country. Now, the border of the Land of Lightning was defended by samurai. Yefeng was taken aback when he reached the border of the Land of Lightning. A bunch of samurai had surrounded him. "Hey, who are you?" The samurai eyed Yefeng in the red armor warily. That getup wasn't exactly common in the Land of Lightning. Red was the color of the Fire Country. The Land of Lightning didn't dig red. Yefeng smirked and said, "I am the undead of the Uchiha clan." With that, Yefeng threw up some hand signs, channeled his fire chakra, and let loose. Fire style, fire extinction. A massive wall of flames engulfed the border camp. Rumble. Arg. Ugh. The samurai in the border camp turned into charred skeletons. Ding! Role-playing Uchiha Madara, similarity, 60%. The fusion rate of Yefeng's Uchiha Madara character card shot up to 20%. Using just the Uchiha Madara character card, Yefeng was now as strong as an average shadow-level ninja. After all, the reanimated Madara had pushed the 5 Kage to their limits. At 20%, he could tear through Yunin Village even without the Hashirama Senju character card. Soon, Yefeng stumbled across some Yunin Village ninjas. It was just a patrol, and they froze when Yefeng popped into view. With Yefeng in red armor and his spiky hair, he looked like Uchiha Madara. You could show someone a picture of Yefeng and they wouldn't realize he was there. They didn't hesitate to pounce on this unknown intruder, but before they got close, Yefeng incinerated them. Fire style, dragon flame singing technique. 0.4 fire dragons burst from the ground and swallowed the ninjas whole. Only one female ninja remained, kneeling on the ground and shaking like a leaf. Feng stared at her, his eyes widening. Wasn't that the fourth Raikage secretary, Mabui? Mabui, but it wasn't Mabui, her name was Asamiyu. Feng figured she must be Mabui's mother. But, seeing as she was so young and on a mission, it was probably back before Mabui was born. Take me to Yunin Village. No way. Asamiyu stood defiant, grasping her kunai. She was about to off herself. But then, Feng activated his Mangekyo Sharingan. Genjutsu. Confusion. Hypnosis. Asamiyu's eyes glazed over, and she lost her will. She stared blankly at Feng and said, "Okay, my lord, Asamiyu will take you to Yunin Village." Chapter 099. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In Yunin Village's hospital, the third Raikage moved his right hand and grimaced. The doctor next to him trembled. "Lord Raikage, we've done everything we can, but there's just no way to fix it." The third Raikage scoffed, a cold glint in his eyes, and his chakra surged involuntarily. Feng, I will get revenge for this." He slammed his good hand on the table, but the table remained intact. "Damn it!" The third Raikage roared in frustration. Usually, even a light tap would crack the table. Now, his right hand was completely useless. After a moment of thought, the third Raikage stood up. He knew that in his condition, he couldn't hold the Raikage position for long and needed to pass it on. Even though his son wasn't fully mature, his strength was already among the best in Yunin Village, strong enough to be Raikage. Plus, after the Feng incident, the Yunin Village elders wouldn't object too much. That night, guided by Azabu's mother, Asamiyu, Kid arrived on the outskirts of Yunin Village. A group of Yunin Village ninjas immediately came to intercept them. The leader was none other than Troy. The future powerhouse of the Fourth Shinobi World War, resurrected with impure world reincarnation, possessing the magnet release Kekii Genkai. "Halt, right there!" Troy raised his hand, and the ninjas beside him took a fighting stance. After the third Raikage's injury, Yunin Village was on high alert, closely guarding against attacks from other hidden villages. Troy's group spotted Feng's strange outfit and immediately became suspicious. Most importantly, Feng wasn't wearing a hidden village forehead protector. Even rogue ninja usually wore one, but Feng didn't. At this time, Feng's appearance had also changed slightly, his expression shifting to a look of Uchiha arrogance. Feng ignored Troy's warning and continued walking forward. Asami she beside him hurriedly said, "Sir, that's our Yunin Village's elite Jonin, Troy. He has Yunin Village's magnet release Kekii Genkai." By now, Asamiyu had completely submitted, offering herself wholeheartedly. Hearing Asami she's words, Feng asked curiously, "Magnet release? Yunin Village has magnet release too?" "Like the third and fourth Kazakages," Asamiyu quickly said, "My lord, I don't know. Please, dodge Troy's shuriken." Before she finished, Troy attacked. Shuriken imbued with magnet release flew towards Yokaid. Asami quickly dodged and then said with a worried expression, "Sir, didn't you dodge Troy's shuriken?" Feng held a kunai and said, "I blocked it." Asami said anxiously, "No, my lord, you can't touch his magnet release. Troy's magnet release can be transmitted through contact. That is, his shuriken has magnet release, and when those magnetic shuriken touch your kunai, they'll transmit the magnet release to your body. In other words, you're full of magnetism now." Feng nodded curiously. "Well, I do feel a bit of magnetism." A bit of magnetism was just a tickle to Feng, causing no harm at all. Troy smirked triumphantly, and the shuriken in his hand instantly grew huge, the kind of huge shuriken that could chop people in half. Asami's face was filled with worry. "Lord, run!" Troy laughed. "You won't be able to dodge the second round." Ha, ha, ha. Before he finished, Feng suddenly appeared in front of Troy. Everyone was stunned. What speed! Troy stared at the night maple that had suddenly appeared before him, and cold sweat broke out all over his body, terrifying. Troy's eyes widened, a sense of doom washing over him. Just as he tried to step back, Feng grabbed Troy's neck and lifted him into the air. "Wanna dance?" Troy was horrified and confused. What the heck was dancing? Before he could figure it out, with a bang, Troy was engulfed in flames and fell heavily to the ground, his whole body charred black. Troy, an exceptionally talented young jonin, destined to be Rakich's right-hand man, died here today. Yi Feng, now with a fusion rate of over 20%, wasn't suited for wood release, but he could easily take down Troy. The other Yunin village ninjas stared at Yi Feng in terror. Troy-sensei hadn't lasted even a second. Just as Yi Feng moved, his foot was grabbed. Troy, his whole body scorched, said with all his strength, "Quick, report the enemy attack. Hurry." His last words were a strained whisper. Hearing this, the ninjas were shocked and hurriedly retreated. However, Yi Feng spewed out a massive torrent of fire from his mouth, instantly burning the fleeing ninjas to ashes. Fire, extinguished. Troy's eyes widened. His last hope of getting the news out was extinguished, and he breathed his last. Holding on to Tropy was the hope that his teammates would survive, but now, there was no hope. Yokai kicked Troy's body aside, looked at Asamiyu, and said, "Continue leading the way." While role-playing Uchiha Madara, Yefeng found that he was influenced by the imaginary Uchiha Madara's image and became as bloodthirsty as him and proud. Asami was stunned for a moment, then said with a look of respect and obedience, "Yes, my lord. This woman will lead the way." Yi Feng's invincible figure was deeply imprinted in Asami Shi's heart. Ding, playing Uchiha Madara, 70% similarity. The similarity of playing Uchiha was constantly increasing, and the speed of fusing Uchiha character cards was also increasing. It soon exceeded 30%. The speed of fusing character cards was unbelievable compared to before. This role-playing felt a little weird, but the effect was really strong. Yi Kid glanced at the character cards he hadn't fused yet. He had 2 Uchiha Itachi cards, a Hashirama Senju, and also the first Mizukage, 4 of them. How much further? Report, my lord, it's just ahead. Asami said respectfully. Good. Yi Feng looked ahead, and the Sharingan in his eyes spun. Well, he couldn't see clearly. At this point, the Sharingan wasn't as good as the Byakugan. Yefeng found that he could deactivate his character card. That is, after he returned to Konoha Village, he could put away the Sharingan. This way, Yefeng could have 2 identities, or even 3, both Hokage of Konoha and the boss behind the scenes, because this was one of the main roads leading to Yunin Village. One of the 5-man squads guarding the second line of defense happened to be patrolling and spotted Yi Feng's figure, stretched long in front of them. At this time, it was sunset, like blood reflecting on the ground. Ha! Someone there. The ninja from Yuma Hidden Village noticed Yokai and immediately alerted the other ninjas. All the ninjas drew their weapons and prepared to fight. Is that someone from Konoha Village? No, not from Konoha Village. Red armor. And surrounded by people from Yunin Village. Could he be a samurai from the land of lightning? Yi Feng's outfit actually made them hesitate, but the Jonin leader remained vigilant and said to a lower-ranking ninja behind him, "Hurry back to the village and report. An unknown samurai is escorting Yunin Village ninjas and is breaking into the village alone." "My lord. Don't worry about me, just go." This Jonin felt something was off, because there was a village behind, and for 2 people to swagger here without being intercepted was strange, or maybe something had already happened. No matter what, they couldn't take it lightly. After all, Yunin Village's strength was greatly diminished. There were only about 2,000 ninjas in Yunin Village who could fight, which was less than 1/5 of what they used to have. It could be said that Yunin Village was now the weakest village except for Kirigakure. The Sunigakure that Yi Feng had captured didn't suffer too many casualties and surrendered directly. Yi Feng walked straight towards the guard team, and the shinobi who had gone to report the news had already run into Yunin Village and arrived at the Raikage building. "Lord Raikage, an unknown person is trying to break in." "What?" Soon, the 3rd Raikage and the AB duo arrived, and they frowned when they heard the ninja's words. "Someone is breaking in. Doesn't Yunin Village have several layers of defense? How could anyone get in?" Before he finished, there was a piercing scream outside Yunin Village. A person wearing a Yunin Village shinobi vest came crashing down. Then, Yokai entered, followed by Asamiyu. Behind them were more fallen people. The 3rd Raikage and the AB duo were suddenly filled with dread. Someone broke into Yunin village. Who was this person? Is he a samurai? Karabi asked with a frown. The fourth Hokage, nodded. That red armor is really flashy. And the third Hokage, looking at the outfit, his eyes nearly popped out of his head. That is. The fourth Hokage noticed the third Hokage's panicked expression and quickly asked, Father, do you know him? Impossible, how could this be possible? He's supposed to be dead. Could Konoha have given us fake news, or was it a suspended animation? The third Hokage recognized Uchiha at a glance. Too similar, he looked exactly like the Uchiha the third Hokage first encountered. The same red armor, the same Uchiha fan. The same spiky hair. The third Hokage's memory was hazy. After all, he'd met him when he was very young, and this hazy memory overlapped with Night Maple's cosplay appearance. The third Hokage was immediately convinced that this was Uchiha, and the AB duo were still confused. They were from a younger generation and had never seen Uchiha. At this time, countless Yunin village ninjas rushed towards Feng. However, Feng fought as if he had activated a Dynasty Warriors game mode, mastering taijutsu, ninjutsu, dojutsu, and rotation. None of the Yunin village ninjas who attacked were a match for Feng. They fell one after another. Someone saw the carnage and turned to flee in terror, but Feng caught them and lifted them into the air. Rumble. And they exploded directly. The third Hokage's eyelids twitched, and his body trembled. Sharingan, he's Uchiha Madara. As soon as the third Hokage said those words, Feng's eyes widened, and he found that his acting degree suddenly jumped to 80%. Fusion 40%. When the AB group heard the third Hokage's words, their eyes nearly popped out of their sockets. They had heard that Uchiha had died at Feng's hands not long ago. How could he suddenly appear in Yunin village again? Did this Uchiha really come back from the dead? The fourth Hokage said in disbelief, Father, you must be mistaken. The third Hokage shook his head. I'm not mistaken. See, the fire release. Such ninjutsu. No one in Konoha's Uchiha clan can use it except someone with Uchiha Madara's strength. They looked down from above the Hokage building, and a large number of Yunin village ninjas were extinguished by Feng's fire release, burned and injured, and rolled on the ground. But the flames on their bodies burned them in agony, charred them black, burned them to death, never stopping. The third Hokage and the AB duo saw their Yunin village ninjas die so horribly, and their faces turned pale at the same time. Feng's strength was horrifying, one man against thousands. Thousands of Yunin village ninjas simply couldn't get close to Feng and were blown away. Whether it was ninjutsu, dojutsu, or taijutsu, they were on completely different levels. Even high-level Yunin village jonin were no match for the Feng cosplaying 40% of Uchiha Madara. The AB group had to believe the third Hokage's words at this point. They had never seen such a powerful person except for Feng, but the person in front of him, with the Mangekyo Sharingan in his eyes, made the third Hokage and the AB duo dismiss their suspicions. He was also wearing Uchiha Madara's favorite red armor. This person was Uchiha Madara. There was no other possibility. Just when the third Hokage and the AB duo believed that Night Maple was Uchiha Madara, Night Feng's playing similarity soared wildly. 81%. 82%. 83%. 90%. The surge in similarity led to a surge in fusion. Fusion 50%. 50% fusion in just one day. And still rising. Feng himself had never thought it would be so fast. Feng was mowing through thousands of Yunin village ninjas, racking up kills. Quick, notify Lord Hokage. The ninjas, who had been so confident, were now panicking. Although 1,000 people surrounded one person, every time Feng took a step forward, hundreds of people immediately retreated. One person was worth 10,000. The Yunin village ninjas, especially the lower and middle ranks, were mentally broken. They never imagined that a single person could be so strong. Feng's face was also full of satisfaction. Like mowing the lawn, no match. In Feng's mind was the scene from the anime, Uchiha Madara facing the 100,000 Shinobi Alliance. He charged into the 100,000 shinobi alliance, turned on the no-match and cut grass madly, and the 100,000 coalition army could do nothing to Uchiha Madara. Now, the mood of the ninja in Yunin Village was exactly the same as that of the 100,000 shinobi alliance in the anime. Damn it! Retreat! The Yunin Village ninjas fell one after another, and everyone was panicked, angry, and frightened. None of them dared to take the initiative against Yi Feng at this time. Even the Jonin, faced with the invincible Yi Feng, lost heart. The spirit was gone, and this battle was over. The ninjas were constantly retreating, and the villagers of Yunin Village, who were watching the excitement from afar, were stunned. A person broke into Yunin Village and scared off thousands of ninjas. Are all the ninjas in Yunin Village like this? Who is that person? A sword saint from some country? Sword saints can't use ninjutsu. Didn't you see him use ninjutsu? At this time, Lei Ying said to the AB group, you two, you must cooperate with each other. Only by cooperating can you grow together, understand? Father, when the fourth Raikage heard the third Raikage talking to himself like this, he felt a sense of foreboding. The third Raikage looked at Yi Feng, who was constantly moving towards the Thunder Shadow building, and shook his head helplessly. You are the future of our Yunin Village, and from today onward, you will be the fourth Raikage. Father, the third Raikage roared angrily. Don't say another word, listen to me. Immediately take all the elite Jonin, abandon Yunin Village, and head to the land of snow at once. Father. Don't say anything more, hurry. The fourth Raikage immediately said, Father, no, I won't go. I'm going to defeat this Uchiha with you. Before he finished, the third Raikage stunned the fourth Raikage with one palm, startling Karabi. The third Raikage looked deeply at Karabi and said, Karabi, AI will be handed over to you. He is the fourth Raikage, and you are his right and left hand. Karabi nodded and said, yes, Lord Thunder Shadow. Let's go. Lord Thunder Shadow, the third Raikage roared angrily. Does that mean you don't obey my Raikage's orders either? No, but Lord Raikage, you. Go now, take all the elite Jonin. This is my order. This is the Thunder Shadow fist set, which represents the power of the Thunder Shadow. With that, the third Raikage was handed over to Karabi. In the end, Karabi carried the fourth Raikage and was pulled away by the other elite shinobi. As he left, Karabi's tears flowed from the corners of his eyes. The third Raikage took a deep breath, jumped from the highest floor of the Thunder Shadow building, and jumped down, rumble. With a loud bang, the third Raikage was in a state of Thunder Chakra, and a huge deep pit was stepped on as soon as they stepped down, and the spider crack was centered on the feet of the three generations of Thunder Shadows and spread around. He quietly looked at the night maple that was gradually approaching in front of him. Who are you? The third Raikage still wanted to confirm it. The corners of Yi Feng's mouth turned up slightly and said, you don't know who I am? The third Raikage was stunned for a moment. How did he feel that the appearance of this person in front of him was a little similar to Yi Feng, but this pair of riding will eyes definitely couldn't be Yi Feng. I am Uchiha, kneel down and beg for mercy, submit to me, I can spare your life. Yi Kid said. The Uchiha fan suddenly put down, and a hurricane rushed to his face, instantly blowing the people around him away. The shoulders of the three generations of Lei Ying trembled slightly. Uchiha Madara, the most terrifying man in Uchiha, was already a legendary figure when he was a child in the third generation of Thunder Shadow. Is he still alive now? Not dead yet? So, is there fake news over there in Konoha? Or maybe Uchiha is resurrected again? The three generations of Thunder Shadow thought of a lot in an instant, and he raised his head and said, Uchiha, what do you want? Our Yunin village is submissive to you, can you get any benefits? Yi Feng was slightly stunned when he heard the words of the three generations of Thunder Shadow. He tried to substitute himself into the Uchiha spot. If it was the real Uchiha spot, what would he say at this time? Suddenly, Yi Feng smiled and said, benefits? What benefits are needed? You Yunin village can't give me what I want. I'm just casually playing. Your Yunin village is subordinate to me, then I can spare your lives. If I dare to refuse, I will destroy it at will. It's that simple. Chapter 100. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Humph. Lei Ying's eyes widened, and electricity exploded around him, making the air crackle and smell burnt. Remembering that Team AB hadn't successfully evacuated Cloud Village yet, the third Raikage braced himself. Even if he had to die, he'd take Uchiha with him. Seeing the Raikage's determined face, a smirk played on Yefeng's lips. Fire release, extinguishing majestic annihilating flame. A blazing red inferno, dozens of meters wide, erupted around Yefeng, a massive wave of fire surging outward. Cloud Village ninja too close were instantly incinerated, while those further away were blasted back by the shockwave. A bolt of blue lightning flashed through the roaring flames, landing in an open space a good distance away. The Raikage stood there, scorched black, various wounds still bleeding. Madara. The Raikage gritted his teeth, glaring at Yefeng. Many of those killed in the fire were his trusted men, those he planned to groom for the future. His eyes, like a wild animal, burned with a desire to tear him apart. Lightning armor, full power. Intense lightning crackled around the Raikage. Lightning armor was originally a technique that stimulated the body using lightning release chakra. Now, however, the Raikage was pouring every ounce of chakra he had into it. The light radiating from his body could practically illuminate the entire Cloud Village. Interesting. Ready to go all in, huh? Yefeng narrowed his eyes, sensing the Raikage's surge of power, and a thrill of battle coursed through him. Come on, he taunted. Rhea. The Raikage took a massive step, the ground beneath him cracking, and charged at Yefeng like a human missile. His arm shot forward, one finger extended, lightning chakra spiraling around it like a drill. Hell stab, one finger spear. If lightning armor was the strongest shield, then this technique was the strongest spear. By focusing chakra into a single point, he gained incredible piercing power. Even a tailed beast would be vulnerable. Boom! The impact created a cloud of dust. I can't see clearly, but it felt like a hit. The Raikage thought, a smile forming, but it froze on his face. In the smoke, a pair of crimson eyes glared back at him. Is that all you've got? Yefeng looked at the Raikage with disappointment, a chilling gaze that sent a shiver down his spine. Guess I overestimated you. The Raikage looked down, realizing the point of impact glowed with a faint blue light. His attack had been stopped by something. What is that? Before he could react, an overwhelming wave of chakra washed over him, suffocating him. In the Raikage's shocked gaze, a colossal blue figure engulfed Yefeng, a spectral warrior like something out of legend. Let me show you what true power is. Susanoo. At Yefeng's whisper, the giant warrior drew its blade. Before the Raikage could even move, the arm he had used to attack fell to the ground. If he hadn't used the body flicker technique at the last second, he would have been sliced in half. Arg! Staggering back, the Raikage frantically pressed on the wound where his arm had been. Blood spurted everywhere. The memory of what just happened sent a jolt through him. If I hadn't dodged with everything I had, I'd be dead. Lord Raikage. A dozen Cloud Village ninja rushed to shield him, two casting healing jutsu to stop the bleeding while the rest stood guard, weapons drawn, watching Yefeng intently. Raikage, looks like you've already accepted your fate, Yefeng said again, but the only response was cold hatred. He frowned, impatient. If you want to die, I'll grant your wish. He stomped on the ground, leaping into the air. Snap! Yefeng's hands clasped together, forming a hand seal, and his powerful chakra surged like a volcano erupting. At the same time, behind him, another identical Susanoo appeared. The two figures stood back to back, becoming even more solid. The swords they held vanished, replaced with the same hand gestures as Yefeng. Everyone below felt a crushing pressure. One of the Cloud Village ninja, sweating profusely, yelled, What is he doing? I don't know, but with that much chakra, it's nothing we can handle. Don't act rashly. Be ready for anything. Another ninja, older and wiser, spoke with grim determination. Right, we have to be ready. The Raikage, just finished with treatment, looked decades older. The jutsu he used against Yefeng had drained his life force. Chakra was the combination of physical and spiritual energy. Overexertion always took a toll on the body. the Hokage stepped forward, and just as he opened his mouth, the sky went dark. "What's happening?" Everyone looked up, expressions turning to horror. Clang! A kunai fell to the ground, followed by the sound of countless weapons hitting the earth, swords, shuriken, kunai, chains. Everyone dropped their weapons, staring at the sky, as if witnessing a miracle. How is this possible? The entire village looked up, feeling their legs weaken, their strength sapped. An enormous meteorite, blotting out the sky, was falling like a star. Boom! The meteorite hadn't even hit, but the air already felt thick and heavy. Even the Hokage was in shock. This scene, it looked familiar. Wasn't this the same meteorite that attacked Konoha? It really was Uchiha. Panic gripped Cloud Village. Is this real power? The Hokage muttered, his eyes empty. Gone was the anger, the fight, replaced by despair. If that hit, the village would be gone. Gritting his teeth, the Hokage watched as his hair turned white, and channeled every ounce of chakra into his remaining hand. Hell stab, one finger spear. Max power, one finger. This was the strongest spear, the ultimate attack. This finger held his life's experiences, his philosophies. This was his peak, his finest moment. His hair turned white in an instant, even his beard and eyebrows faded. All his chakra was focused on that finger. Only someone who had trained his body for decades could withstand the stress. "Even if it's a meteorite, I'll break it." The Hokage pushed off the ground, leaped onto the Hokage building, and aimed at the sky. Everyone stared, transfixed, at the falling behemoth. Their faces were pale. It was huge. It covered everything, a black shadow engulfing the village. Darkness everywhere. Feng was shocked to see the heavenly obstruction shock star again. If it hit, Cloud Village would be obliterated. Could the Hokage, standing on the Hokage building, stop it? Feng could feel his determination, but this world was about power, not spirit. "Break it for me." The Hokage squinted, aimed at the descending mass, and thrust his index finger forward. One finger at all. His eyes widened, and his finger, his hand, even the bones in half his body shattered instantly. The kinetic energy was too much. Unless you were on the level of the Sage of Six Paths, no one could withstand this. Lord Hokage, the ninja behind the temple were ready to die, but seeing him fly backward, they cried out. One of them caught him, and medics rushed to his side. But their faces turned pale. Broken bones, ruptured meridians, no chakra, no breath. No. Lord Hokage. Help! A scream pierced the air. Time seemed to stop. The 1,000-meter meteorite crashed where the Hokage had stood, pulverizing his body. The impact sent shockwaves in all directions, the ground rippling visibly. Cracks hundreds of meters long appeared across the landscape, buildings crumbled, and a cloud of smoke enveloped the village. Karabi-A, who had fled to the border, turned back at the sound to see a mushroom cloud rising above the village. Feng floated in mid-air, holding a samishi, looking down at the destruction. All the ninja, all the villagers, gone. Even those outside the blast radius were dead. Asami she trembled, watching the devastation. Feng glanced at her. Aside from her darker skin, she was beautiful. He wondered, if Asami Shi's life trajectory had completely changed, would she have a daughter like Azabui? He'd have to try, just to be sure. "Come here, kneel." "Master." 3 hours later, the day ended. Feng was disappointed. Asami she didn't qualify for the 10 Women Crystal Palace. The system said only characters from the main Naruto timeline counted. That limited his choices. Kushina, Mikoto, and Tsunade. Feng thought about Tsunade's, assets. But, no, she was from the Senju clan. He'd go back to Konoha first. If he didn't, he might expose himself. Back in Konoha, Feng's strength ensured no one noticed anything amiss. Soon, he was back in his compound. Kushina was waiting. Seeing her, he felt a pang of emotion. She was waiting for him to come home. It was a good feeling. "You're back." Kushina smiled. Feng nodded. From Cloud Village and back, dusty and tired. Then he came home to find Kushina waiting with dinner. The food was cold. She must have been waiting for hours. "I'm sorry." I'm late. He thought he should have dealt with the rakeage faster. Kushina shook her head. It's okay, I'll heat it up. She reached for the dishes, but Feng stopped her. Don't worry about that. He pulled her close. The next day, news of Uchiha's reappearance in Cloud Village spread like wildfire. Just after the third rakeage passed his title to A, Uchiha appeared, killing the third. The fourth rakeage and Karabi fled with 100 elite ninja. Word traveled fast, Feng hadn't killed everyone in Cloud Village. Plus, every major village had spies there. The news shocked the world. What? Uchiha in Cloud Village? Isn't he dead? Did anyone get a picture? Whoa, that red armor. And the Uchiha fan. Oh my god. Could he be resurrected? The Sand Village, still rebuilding after the Leaf invasion, the Mist, finally at peace, the Rock, plotting in the shadows, were all surprised. The fourth Kazekage, the third Tsuchikage, and the fourth Mizukage were equally stunned. Hadn't Feng killed him? How could he be back? Was this the Uchiha clan's ghost coming back to haunt them? Even Black Zetsu, trying to resurrect Madara, was confused. Uchiha is back. Who did this? Impossible. He wondered if something had gone wrong. Resurrecting his mother just got harder. Feng finished his morning exercise, had breakfast, kissed Kushina goodbye, and went to work. Before he sat down, he heard the news from the Umbu. Lord Hokage, it's most likely Uchiha Madara, the real deal. The heavenly obstruction shock star proves it. We don't know how, but it's not the impure world reincarnation. Feng nodded. Of course it wasn't. It was cosplay. Cloud Village is gone. The villagers and ninja are all dead. The only survivors are A and Karabi, plus 100 elite who fled to the land of snow. Feng knew the rakeage was ready to die. He had his wish. Then, the Umbu ninja said, Cloud Village being destroyed will have repercussions, so other villages are going to want to make sure they have a plan ready. Just then, another ninja walked in. It was Minato Namikaze. Minato knelt before Feng and said, Lord Hokage, the fourth Kazekage and the Sand Village elders want to visit Konoha. Everyone in the office was surprised. Uchiha had dropped a meteorite and destroyed a village. How could the others not be scared? Feng laughed. The Kazekage and Sand Village elders saw him as their savior. He hadn't expected this. Suddenly, two more Umbu ninja entered. Lord Hokage. Feng looked at them. They were both from the Umbu. Lord Hokage, the fourth Mizukage wants to come to Konoha to discuss the destroyer of Cloud Village. Lord Hokage, the third Tsuchikage, Anoki, will be there to discuss Uchiha's return. Feng was stunned. Was this the 5 Kage summit? The fleeing rakeage probably wouldn't come. Just then, another Umbu ninja walked in and said, Lord Hokage, a letter from the land of snow. The royal family is funding A and requests Konoha's help to rebuild Cloud Village. The fourth rakeage wants to visit Konoha.